also, in the case of the surprising Villanova Wildcats, it's perhaps something a little bit more. For one thing, it's Coach Raleigh Cats fans also think it's a little special. They wanted to make sure the team got a proper send-off as they headed for Lexington, Kentucky. Mike Forrest has more.
For Villanova, the final leg on the road to the Final Four and Lexington, Kentucky began with an old-fashioned pep rally right here on the Villanova campus. The send-off included cheerleaders, the pep band, signs, the whole works, and the players had an opportunity to say a few words.
All right. Listen, I'm telling you this on behalf of my teammates, the coaches, everyone involved. This is the greatest feeling for us, and I'm sure it's for you, as you have shown us in the past couple of days, and it means a great deal to us. And let's all stay together, because the only way we're going to take it all back to Villanova is that we all stay together.
And for the final touch, Coach Raleigh Massimino.
I think that we're going down there in Kentucky land to win a national championship. That's what we're going to try to do. I'm really sorry all of you couldn't be with us. But I think that if we win a national championship, they just might give us a day off from school. So again, thanks a lot for all your support all year long. You've just been terrific. And regardless of the outcome, we'll have a hell of a party when we come back. Thanks a lot, folks.
Then the Wildcats went outside and boarded the buses. Next stop, the Final Four. In Villanova, Pennsylvania, Mike Forrest for ESPN.
Bluegrass region of Kentucky, the finest thoroughbreds in the land are trained to run for the roses and other honors. Then, once their racing days are over, the great ones like Secretariat return to their old Kentucky homes to breed the next generation of champions. Thus, it's only fitting that the best thoroughbreds from another sport are gathered here this weekend for the great match race in college basketball. The Secretariat in this four-horse field is, of course, Georgetown, winner of the East Regional and a heavy favorite to capture its second straight national championship. The Hoyas have the speed and muscle to win at any pace and over any kind of track. Two of their biggest victories came over St. John's, the winner of the West Regional. But earlier this season, the Redmen broke fast out of the starting gate and held on to upset the Hoyas. If they can jump off to another big early lead, St. John's could win again at the wire. The third entry for the Big East Conference, Villanova, is this year's dark horse. Raleigh Massimino's Wildcats prevailed in the Southeast Regional with a deliberate pace and a fast finish. The upset victories that got them here came on second-half bursts down the stretch. Finally, there's the Midwest champion Memphis State team, the only non-Big East club to reach the Final Four. They are big and they are talented, and they know how to pull off the close ones at the buzzer. And another photo finish here could put them in the winner's circle. So there's the field. All week long, the tension has been mounting on the backstretch. Now, post time is just minutes away.
Step inside the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. You're about to enjoy college basketball's greatest show, the Final Four. Game one, Memphis, followed then by the two heavyweights, Georgetown and St. John's. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brad Musburger. Welcome to the Final Four in Lexington, Kentucky. You know, when this NCAA tournament began 3 weeks ago, 63 teams came in with a dream, and 3 of them, Villanova, Memphis State, and St. John's, fulfilled it. They have reached the Final Four. But for the 64th team, mighty Georgetown, it was a mission. They were determined to become the first team since UCLA in the early 70s to win back-to-back national championships. And Billy Packer, they are now within 2 victories of that goal.
Well, Brent, it's hard for me to believe that a dozen years have passed before any team had had a chance to do this. The Georgetown club, I have to go back to the Big East championship game when they asked John Thompson to cut down the nets after winning that prestigious tournament. He said, these are not the nets I want. The ones I want are right behind them.
As you know, Billy, there is so much history about the college game here in Lexington. For more on that, let's go up to our host, Dick Stockton. Dick.
Thank you very much, Brent, and good afternoon, everyone. And this is the season that college basketball showcase event returned to its roots. No big city dome stadium. We are in the rural college setting of Lexington, University of Kentucky, Rupp Arena, dedicated to one of the great legends of college basketball coaching, Adolph Rupp, the Baron of the Bluegrass. He coached Kentucky for 41 years and was the dominant coach of his time. And in one 10-year span between 1948 and 58, he led the Wildcats to 4 NCAA titles. Now, John Thompson of Georgetown would dearly love to win his second straight championship, but he'll be chased here by 3 coaches, all veterans in their first year in the Final Four: Rollie Massimino of Villanova, Dana Kirk of Memphis State, and Lou Carnesecca of St. John's. Speaking of coaches, throughout the afternoon we'll be hearing from the likes of Dean Smith of North Carolina and Joe Hall, who recently retired at Kentucky, and a man behind the scenes, Vic Bubas, who had a lot to do with the NCAA explosion to 64 teams. But coming up, we have a lot of action. Memphis State and Villanova. The NCAA semifinal coming up right after this word from your local station.
Davis saw Villanova coach Rollie Massimino. He was locked in a victory embrace with his son, celebrating the upset over North Carolina that put them in the Final Four. But now the scene moves to Lexington, Kentucky. And Villanova's opponent, the Memphis State Tigers, have been leading a charmed life of their own. They survived a scare in the second round when Andre Turner scored in the closing second.
Turner, here they go. Turner, good defense. He hits the shot. 5 seconds to go.
Later that week against Boston College, Turner popped one in again at the buzzer.
Trying to win it again. He hits it. Memphis State wins. Lightning has struck again.
And I felt that I should take, things in my hand, and it so happens I got lucky and made the shots, and now we're in the Final Four.
With 10 losses in the regular season, Villanova was targeted for early elimination. But the Wildcats caught fire in the tournament. 2 big upsets have made them the surprise team of '85. A joyous turn of events for Coach Massimino and the senior star.
It's just like a dream come true when you eventually make it, and hopefully we do win the next 2 games. It'll just be like a dream come true.
State met in the NCAA tournament. Villanova won that round, but there were 2 freshmen on the floor that day who are seniors here this afternoon. And they are the team leaders, Billy Packer. Keith Lee of Memphis State. What a career he has had.
Well, he has. He's been the winningest player around in the history of Memphis State. So many people, Brent, like to talk about the things that Keith Lee can't do. He is not quick of foot, but he can catch the ball beautifully. He's an excellent passer, great player on the inside, and he knows this game very well. A true winner.
He has help underneath, and 7-foot William Bedford. That puts the pressure on Eddie Pinckney.
It really does. Eddie Pinckney is a fellow that's listed at about 6'9", but he plays a lot taller. Extremely quick. Matter of fact, he's probably the quickest interior player in the country. An All-American caliber without question.
All right, coming up now, it is game 1 of our semifinal doubleheader. Memphis State against Villanova.
Today's national semifinal game between the
starting lineups now, and here's the PA announcer, Frank Fallon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rupp Arena for today's NCAA national semifinal game. The Wildcats and the Memphis State Tigers. Now, let's meet the starting lineups. For Villanova at forward, a 6'7" junior from Mystic, Connecticut, number 21, Harold Presley. For Memphis State at forward, a 6'10" senior from West Memphis, Arkansas, number 24, Keith Lee. For Villanova at forward, a 6'6" senior from Worcester, Massachusetts, number 33, Dwayne McClain. For Memphis 6'7" junior from Memphis, Tennessee, number 43, Baskerville Holmes. For Villanova at center, a 6'10" senior from the Bronx, New York, number 54, Ed Pinckney. For Memphis State at center, a 7-foot sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee, number 50, William Bedford. For Villanova at a guard, a 6'2" junior from Patterson, New Jersey, number 4, Dwight Wilbur. For Memphis State at a guard, a 5'10" junior from Memphis, Tennessee, number 10, Andre Turner. For Villanova at a guard, a 6-foot senior from Hempstead, New York, number 22, Gary McLean. And for Memphis State at a guard, a 6'5" freshman from Memphis, Tennessee, number 30, Vincent Askew. And introducing the head coaches. For Villanova, Rolly Massimino. For Memphis State, Dana Kirk.
So it's coming up, Memphis State and Villanova, the first of our national doubleheader. We are back and set to go. Villanova. And you can see how Memphis State traveled here to get to Lexington. They had some buzzer games, beating UAB in overtime and Boston College. Villanova, on the other hand, was the 8th seed in the Southeast region. They upset the top seed Michigan and knocked off the 2nd seed North Carolina last Sunday. And here they are squaring off for a berth in Monday night's championship game against the winner of our second game, Georgetown and St. John.
Defensive tap for Villanova, and they get it.
Now let's see if Rolly Massimino does sit on it for a time and try to bring them out of their zone. Memphis State likes to sit in his zone.
They're playing man-to-man, Brent.
Out right in the man. They missed their first shot, taken off by Keith Lee.
Now here we had, that's a surprising switch. Dana Kirk may have anticipated Villanova trying to hold the ball, so he starts out in the man-to-man. Double team by Villanova.
And on the steal, it was Harold Presley.
Villanova does as good a job trapping with the size team they have as anybody in the country. Keith Lee on Presley. Now let's see if Presley tries to take advantage of him. Without a clock, Villanova, a tough team to play because they're very patient, have experienced guards.
Presley comes out high, puts it down against Lee.
Great job by Bedford.
Bedford sealed it up inside magnificently, jumping over to help out.
He really did a great job there, Brent. And Bedford, as everybody knows, is one of the most talented young big men in the country. And that time, Presley went right by Keith Lee.
Memphis State opening the game in a man-to-man defense.
Better job by Lee. He stayed down on his feet that time. Realizes Presley's going to use the pump fake. Good man-to-man defense now by Memphis State, but Villanova will be patient.
Pinckney. Memphis State, here's their leader, Andre Turner.
Bad shot. Turner really got lucky. He took a bad shot and got fouled from behind.
That was the first foul on Wilbur.
But one of the things Turner does so well, he pushes the ball up the court and forces a tempo that Villanova really wouldn't want to play. So even though he took a bad shot, he establishes a pace of the game.
He is a player who has gone from being called Andre Turnover to the Little General. He has raised his game.
Well, I thought that was kind of unfortunate in one way, Brent, and that is the fact that when you bring a freshman in to lead a seasoned ball club, as was the case for Turner his freshman year, it's asking an awful lot.
Turner picks up Gary McLean.
McLean's a man that's going to penetrate, but probably not try to score. So a good job by Turner just to try to keep him under control.
Presley has it knocked loose by Lee. Now Turner, but Presley hustles back. McClain bounces in. Dwayne McClain scores.
Great pass by Eddie Pinckney. Good drop off and hustle by Presley because he was out quick by Turner but still got to the ball. See this sequence, a good bounce pass inside. Eddie Pinckney realizes he's got a man open, dumps it inside. Great job. And for Raleigh Massimino, you want to see this man, Dwayne McClain, get off the snide early.
First foul on Askew.
One of the most unusual looking shots in college basketball.
Full court pressure.
This full court man type pressure. Villanova picking up everybody, including the man taking the ball out of bounds.
Excellent angle to watch it unfold.
Turner will try to beat this press all by himself with a dribble. And is good at it. Presley on Lee. That's going to be a key matchup.
He fronted him that time and came up with the steal.
Good ball fake by Eddie Pinckney.
The patience of Villanova. Dwayne McClain. Bedford.
Now, if you're going to get that kind of rebounding superiority, Memphis State's got to break Villanova and try to get some easy, fast break baskets.
Turner give it up.
Now Villanova changes their defense now. They showed man-to-man. Now they're back to their matchup zone. And they play it as well as anybody in the country.
Holmes. Askew and Lee were both over there on the rebound. They had sealed it off, and they drew the foul.
Looks like it's going to be on Presley pushing off inside. Good rebound on the outside by Askew.
Foul is charged to number 21, Harold Presley. His first, team second.
Holmes inbounds to Turner.
Villanova goes back to their matchup zone.
Lee.
Oh, good rebound by Bedford. If Lee's going to get many shots like that inside on that zone, Brent, he's going to have a big day. Villanova can't afford to let him have the ball in the lane.
Turner knocked it free. McClain touched it last. Turner forced that.
It looks like the officials are going to let this game be played kind of tough. Not many quick whistles.
Memphis State 0 of 3 here in the early moments of this game, trailing 3-1. There's Lee. Through the foul from Pinckney.
Now, Villanova tried to trap that time out of their matchup zone, and when they went for the double team, an excellent job over here by Baskerville Holmes to hit Keith Lee, who moved to the basket perfectly. Eddie Pinckney couldn't get there in time, and there's Lee's great hands to go up for the shot. And obviously Villanova can ill afford to have Eddie Pinckney in any kind of foul trouble.
Against Oklahoma last week down the stretch, Lee buried 4 critical free throws.
Well, at one time in Keith Lee's freshman year, and I believe also in his sophomore year, he was shooting close to 90% from the free throw line. One of the nation's leaders. This year he's at 77%, but he's got a good touch. Good job by Dana Kirk to pick Villanova up high, so he's forcing them not to be in a slow game.
Wilbur.
Second foul. Eddie Pinckney on a push. Now let's see if Dana Kirk tries to attack immediately at Eddie Pinckney in that matchup zone. He's going to be buried down on the baseline, but he picked up 2 quick fouls.
Askew. Bedford fouled Presley.
There was a case for Askew, the freshman, putting up a shot in a hurry. Needed to show a little more patience to get Keith Lee the ball inside and make Pinckney really work. And as we know, the Villanova bench is not a long one. Relatively inexperienced and doesn't have a great deal of talent.
Both teams are perhaps a little tight. Villanova 1 of 5 from the floor.
There's Turner taking the ball away from McLean, showing super hands. McLean's got quick hands himself, so that's surprising.
Presley. Wilbur got inside, and Lee rebounds off that miss.
Wilbur really has been in a drought. He was benched, of course, last week when couldn't get it going. Jensen came in and did the job for him.
Luck to Bedford.
Excellent pass and timing, and something that Memphis State can take advantage of with those two giants in the back line.
Presley, and it's rejected by Lee, and here comes Turner in Memphis State.
Villanova really getting a little shaky right now, Brent. They may have to go for a timeout to slow things down. This pace a lot faster than Raleigh wants.
Askew.
Raleigh doesn't want to use a timeout this early in the ball game, but he's trying to get his players to recognize they've got to slow this tempo down.
Presley was sealed again, but he got it to Pinckney.
We talked about Eddie Pinckney's quickness at the top of the show. Now, he may have been in that lane a 3 seconds, but he got by with it right here and shows his quickness as he goes right around Bedford.
First foul on Holmes. Bailey will check in for Memphis State. In practice back in Memphis, Bailey broke the glass backboard, and Dana Kirk said, I wish he hadn't done that. We're not a half-court team. We need that on the backboard.
Well, I'm surprised at that substitution. Normally at this time of the game, Dana Kirk would come in with Becton, but he wants to keep that massive front line going. And now we have Jensen coming in for Villanova, who had the great game last week against North Carolina. Villanova changed their defense a little bit again. McLean coming out to put pressure on the ball, and they're back into the matchup zone.
Askew gets it inside, and right away Bailey contributes coming off the bench.
Well, I'm not going to question Dana Kirk's substitution one more time in this game. He's in all 3 seconds.
6'9" freshman.
You have to be impressed with Memphis State's man-to-man defense. If you're going to play in the national championship, you've got to go out at times and play people man-to-man. They're doing it well.
Gary McLean. Askew. Memphis State leading in the early moments of this semifinal, 9-5. Turner.
Not a good shot again. 2 bad shots by Turner.
Jensen.
He's picking up right where he left off against North Carolina. I've never seen a sub come off the bench when both teams were having problems last week for that Southeast Championship and just ignite a club like Jensen did. There's that defense matching up. It's a zone, but they pick up people in their area. And there's Keith Lee coming across the lane, which is what he can do so well.
Bedford traveled.
Keith Lee's asking to come out. He needs a breather.
We've got a timeout. 9-7. Memphis State ahead. Back in Lexington, and Raleigh Massimino talking to the Wildcats of Villanova. Here's a coach who is making his first appearance in the Final Four.
Well, he started out in the high school ranks in Jersey, moved up up to Massachusetts, has been a great teacher in summer camps. And that's where he really got noticed by many college coaches. Went down and got involved in Big 5 basketball, and then finally got that head coaching job he always wanted at Villanova, and has done a great job there.
That shirt tail will be out soon. He'll be jumping up and down over there.
Well, he's lost a lot of weight, Brendan. You know, he comes out now in like 3 different outfits in the course of a game. He's got a new tailor.
Presley gets in. Bedford rejected it.
Great hands by Keith Lee to catch that ball off that board. Keith Lee was maneuvering on the inside, and now he's stepping outside. He does have a good jumper out there, so don't be surprised to see him take one from 15, 18 feet.
They move it to him. Askew on this wing.
Dana Kirk has the biggest club that he can put on the floor. That's a push by Pinckney, and he gets away with it. Push Bedford right out of the way.
McLean came up, and Bailey fouled it.
McLean really has a big quickness advantage on Bailey. And I think he senses it.
Poor shooting so far. 38% by Memphis State, 25% by Villanova.
Not that unsurprising. You know, Brent, there's so much emotion for kids involved getting to the Final Four. They have a hard time getting those jitters out early. Shot selection hasn't been real good. Memphis State shows the zone out of bounds.
Jensen missing. Lee. Here's Turner.
People want to know what kind of shot Turner hit to win 3 games at the end of this season. That was it right there. Good fake. Solid jump shot.
Maybe a tremendously underrated all-around point guard. We'll see as this duel unfolds against Gary McLean. He's been hounding him very well. Presley.
Memphis State just controlling the boards. Villanova gets 1 shot and done.
Raleigh will try Plansky off his bench here in a moment.
One of his best outside shooters, and he realized he's got to get some points on the board.
Bedford right up over the top of Pinckney, smashed it in.
What happened to Eddie Pinckney? He thought Keith Lee was going to put up a shot, so he was getting in position to rebound, but Lee is such a good passer, he got it inside.
McLean. They gave him that shot that time. Turner sloughing off to help out inside, and they're saying, go ahead, you can have it.
All right, McLean looks to go ahead and make the play first and the shot second, and he's throwing up 2 bricks here.
You can see that Plansky, whom we mentioned, has checked into the game.
Lee again holds that ball high above his head. One of the best passing big men that's been around in a while.
Bedford was fouled by Dwayne McLean inside.
Obviously wouldn't put him in the class of a Larry Bird, but for a man his size, he sees the court extremely well. He's going to come out and take a little rest right now. Not many people expected that man to spend his full 4 years at Memphis State, but he was really committed to get that degree.
William Bedford will stay in and center, and Bailey remains up front, and Boyd, another freshman's in the backcourt. Turner misfiring, and Askew tracks it down, and he was fouled by Gary McLean.
Villanova is not a real big team, but they block out extremely well, really well coached, and that's why Bedford couldn't get to that rebound. Raleigh realizing right now he's up against a superior team physically, and he's got to keep his guys pulled together here.
What was it Dana Kirk said yesterday? I've already won 1 championship. I'm the best non-Catholic school in the country. Up against Villanova, St. John's, and Georgetown here at Lexington.
The 2 outstanding freshman guards now in that ball game now that Boyd is in there. Boyd and Askew.
McLean steals. Gary McLean hits Jensen. Jensen is 2 of 3 off Massimino's bench.
I think it's going to be a good time for Villanova to start trapping a little bit against Memphis State with the 2 freshmen in the ball game and Bailey not being a real good ball handler. They're staying back in their zone matchup.
Bedford missing, and Bailey came in over the back trying to rebound and committed the foul.
An awfully young team on the floor right now, and Dana Kirk has gotten a lot of mileage when he had Keith Lee on the bench because this young team has a lot of quickness. Like Lee coming right back in the game. He just wanted that short blow.
Timeout in Lexington. 9 minutes and 28 seconds to go in the first half. Memphis State leads. William Bedford, potentially, he could be the game's next dominant big man. Rising up inside. He's a sophomore, 7-footer like the rest of this team out of the Memphis area. Very smooth performer. Might remind you somewhat of a Robert Parrish type.
And Brent, when you're a young player coming in playing with such a dominant player as Keith Lee, you have to understand your role. He has done that very well, and I think next year he's going to blossom into a major scorer on the collegiate ranks. Here's a little trap defense by Memphis State. 2-2-1 zone trap. And now Memphis State goes back to the zone that Raleigh Massimino figured they'd be starting with at the beginning of this game. 2-3 zone. Lansky, a pretty good shooter. Takes a bad shot and hits it. They really forced that shot, but got away with it. Surprisingly close there in the rebounding situation.
It was 13-11. Memphis State leading Villanova, and there's an enormous difference in the rebounding.
That shocked me when I saw 13-11, Brent. I was just glancing down here because it seemed like Memphis State's absolutely controlling the board.
Lee. Short. Jensen hasn't come to him, and now Villanova can tie this trip.
Staying in the 2-3 zone.
McLean for it.
Nice job by Villanova, particularly Eddie Pinckney, to spot the open man in a hurry.
Blocked by Pinckney. Bedford controlling for the Tigers.
Again, the defense changes. Now Eddie Pinckney comes out. They have Jensen down on the back line.
Lee from the corner, short. And a third opportunity as Memphis State dominating the offensive glass, and Raleigh Massimino was beside himself that time.
And he changes his defense, put Pinckney back down inside to try to stop this rebounding advantage.
Is getting into it. He's starting to heat up over there. Pinckney is fouled. Bedford came into him, and that's 2 on Bedford.
And to give you an idea of Eddie Pinckney as an offensive player, this year he has taken 281 field goal attempts and 247 attempts from the foul line. So he really makes that defense work.
Here is Beckton, instant offense for the Tigers normally. Bedford will sit down. Villanova right now is on a 6-0 run. Last Memphis State score was back at the 11-minute mark. We're down to 7:18 remaining here in the first half.
Well, ever since Memphis State moved Keith Lee outside, Brent, they haven't been able to get him in the offense.
Lansky sends it back to McLean, and out of bounds. It'll go over.
Probably didn't like that, and what happened? He had one teammate faking another one out. Plansky had the jump shot, just didn't take it.
Keith Lee is 0 of 3 from the floor here in the first half.
Oh, left hand. Use the left hand. Great play. That's where Keith Lee can score on that defense.
Eddie Pinckney is 1 of 2 here in the first half.
He loves to shoot down on the baseline.
Cross to Becton and back to Askew.
Good passing strategy to throw it over the top of that zone cross court and then pump right back inside.
Askew's offense has dropped off here in the tournament. They may need him to take some shots from the wing before it's over. Goaltending, scored. Pinckney rose up and got the ball on the way down. So right away, Keith Lee comes back and he's 2 of 5.
Nice job by Dana Kirk to get Keith Lee back inside. He realized when he moved him outside, he wasn't getting any offense. Moves him right back down in low, and right away he scores. Memphis State picking up again now. 3-quarter court. Back to the man-to-man.
Dwayne McClain again. When he gets hot, he can burn it because he's a streak shooter.
Trying to keep a body on Keith Lee inside, but he's getting excellent position.
Turner.
If the defense gives you something, Brent, you've got to take it. And that time, Jensen tried to go down and double team to keep Keith Lee away from the ball, but Turner saw the opening.
Pinckney coming down the baseline, fouled by Lee. And that is his first foul. It's 1-1, and that has to please Dana Kirk in that Keith Lee has played 3/4 of the first half and picked up only 1 foul. In their last dozen games, he has been in constant foul trouble for the Tigers.
That foul trouble has been so difficult for Keith Lee that actually he has been a non-factor in a number of big games. Pinckney is 72% free throw shooter. He's a member of our Pan Am team. That was a busy summer for Eddie Pinckney. Played in the World University Games and the Pan Am Games, and wanted so badly to make that Olympic team. Villanova stays in their matchup zone defense. Keith
Lee double team, battling inside, rejected by Pinckney. McClain. Villanova can take the lead this trip.
Eddie Pinckney wanted to take Keith Lee with the dribble.
Traveling. Got a timeout in Lexington. 4 minutes and 20 seconds left here in the first half. Memphis State leading by a point. Here's a man who really gets into it.
He's a signing Cavs. Okay? Everybody's got him now as Benny DeVito. But he really is one of the outstanding X and O type men in college basketball. He really knows the game and studies it very well. Brent, you pointed out the rebounds while we were away for commercial, said it's amazing Memphis State's not farther ahead with that type of margin, which is true. They are controlling those boards.
Holmes. Wilbur has replaced Gary McClain in the backcourt for Villanova, number 4 handling the ball.
And here's that 2-2-1 full court press. Wilbur not the ball handler that McClain is.
Wayne McClain.
3 in a row for McClain.
And 4 of 5 for the first half.
Plansky's really putting a body on Keith Lee inside. Keith Lee has a lot of size, but Plansky's banging him pretty good.
Becton's off.
Askew scooping it up, and he was fouled.
You see, Plansky was banging Keith Lee so much he didn't realize that Askew was coming in behind him on the missed shot. You'll see why he picks up the foul. All of a sudden, Askew is in position for the rebound. Plansky out of position and commits the foul. And that's the case that's so tough. You can't handle two people. Askew, an excellent rebounder and athlete, and another one of those super Memphis kids.
Off the miss. McClain. Keith Lee. That's the 7th rebound for Lee here in the first half.
We said at the top of the show, he has a great pair of hands. When he catches that ball, it's all his.
Away from the ball.
Lee on an offensive foul, banging Plansky out of the way. Give Plansky a lot of credit. He's barely been bodying Lee inside.
At the end of this CBS Sports NCAA tournament game, Billy, you and I will select the most valuable player from each team, and Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. Watching this game, Patrick Ewing and the mighty Hoyas of Georgetown as they await the second game this afternoon against St. John's.
There was an example. I saw a big headline the other day. He never smiles nor shakes hands, and I think that was not accurate if you saw that picture. Patrick is smiling and shaking a lot of hands, but he'll be all business in a few hours.
William Bedford, number 50, has returned from Memphis State.
Plansky, a 60% free throw shooter, but I think that's deceiving because he has a good touch.
Becton rebound. Game is tied. We've got 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first half here in Lexington, Kentucky. Knows who the hot man is, but this time they go to Pinckney off of Dwayne McClain, and Becton fouled him. Jensen came down the floor, and he was looking for Dwayne McClain. He's the hot horse, and they want to ride him, and he got it to Pinckney right there.
Good passing down on the baseline. Probably a pretty good foul by Becton inside, because Eddie Pinckney's an excellent three-point play type man. You might as well foul him tough. Becton, the transfer from St. Louis, has had an excellent postseason period and played very well in the Metro tournament.
Pinckney is only 1 of 3 from the free throw line. Normally, he's better than that, and so he picks his average up. And that's the first Villanova lead since the early moments of this game.
So tough in the last 2 games at the end of the first half. That's where they've actually come back. They're doing the same thing now.
In deep, and there was a collision underneath.
It'll be a foul coming in. Holmes coming over the back. Villanova's defense really causing problems for Memphis State now. That matchup zone is so well executed. We see exactly what Turner wanted to do. He wanted to go ahead and throw the ball over the backside of the zone, but Holmes didn't get there in time, and Plansky had excellent position.
That's the second foul on Holmes, with Plansky moving to the free throw line.
Bedford didn't block out.
Dwayne Memphis State on the turnover. They have a chance to tie it. And, of course, coming up at halftime, Dick Stockton.
It's like he's getting dressed up there, doesn't it?
Got a great view from up there. And Vic Bubas, who was the chairman of the NCAA basketball committee and a man who knows all about the pressure that Rollie Massimino is in right now since Bubas took Duke into the Final Four.
Well, I think Rollie has to feel that his defense has really carried him this first half as they have most of the year.
Askew from the wing missing, got it back. Memphis State ball. Beckton suffered a blow in the facial area.
Well, right now with Keith Lee on the bench, it looks like Memphis State's having a hard time deciding where they want to focus their offense. Lee has, of course, been on that bench a lot, as you pointed out, Brent, with foul problems throughout the course of the tournament. But they've got to find somebody who can score right now. Plansky going for all loose balls. He's going to go ahead and go after the loose ball as Willie Beckton got hit in the eye, but I think he's all right.
During that stoppage, Massimino sent in Chuck Everson.
Gives Eddie Pinckney a rest and keeps him out of foul trouble this last minute and 30 seconds.
Holmes comes down the baseline. Ties it at 23 with a minute 22.
And there's the gamble Rollie took. He didn't have Pinckney's quickness in there to stop that move. Everson not quick enough.
And Villanova has turned it over.
And Eddie Pinckney's coming right back in the game. That's one of those coaching moves you make and you outsmart yourself.
For Villanova, number 54, Ed Pinckney replaces Chuck Everson.
Rollie, being a good coach that he is, didn't waste any time making up for that mistake. Getting Pinckney right back in there.
Bedford. We're tied at 23.
Both Maryland and North Carolina lost a lot of momentum when they didn't handle the ball well for the last shot and a half. And Dana Kirk wants the last shot right now. Villanova going to stay back in that zone. Dana's going to hold it for the last shot. And you can believe Turner's going to try to get some kind of penetration against that zone. Zone spread out pretty well on the wings. He doesn't realize it, but 5 seconds.
Gary McLean stayed with him, and Turner came back down with the ball and traveled. And now there are 3 ticks of the clock here in the first half. And Villanova will try to move quickly and get a last-second shot.
It's amazing. 3 games in a row, Villanova has stymied an opponent's attempt to get off the last shot. Remember, of course, the North Carolina game, McLean got the 3-point play at the end of the half.
Time has expired here in the first half. Villanova and Memphis State head for the locker room. Tied at 23. Let's go up to Dick Stockton. Dick.
Thank you very much, Brent, and you can't get any closer than this. And, of course, Memphis State has had a domination on the boards. But I think when Villanova's Massimino brought in Mark Plansky and Harold Jensen, gave the Wildcats a big boost. And I think Villanova has to be awfully happy. The tempo is in their favor. They're getting out-rebounded, but they're in a 23-23 game. And coming up, we're going to have Vic Bubas, who is the chairman of the tournament committee, to talk about the tournament and this game when we return after this commercial word and the word from your local station. And welcome welcome back to Rupp Arena. Dick Stockton with the halftime score. Memphis State 23, Villanova 23. We're pleased to have with us right now a man who's worn many hats in his college career. Right now, he is the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference. He's coached at Duke University many years ago. But more important, he's the chairman of the NCAA Tournament Committee. 64 teams. I don't know if you ever thought it was going to get that big. And how do you feel about the 64-team field, Victor?
Dick, I think we found our format. We went from 53 to 64. We eliminated the buys. No longer do the favorites have to wait until the second round and get the jitters, because before they were meeting a tough team and they didn't have any game experience going up to that.
I know Dean Smith said that if it weren't for playing that first round game, he might have lost at Notre Dame.
Well, that could be, and I think everything is coming along fine now with our format. I think we found it.
So we won't go beyond 64.
No, I don't think we're going to see that in the immediate future at all.
Vic, everyone thinks that the second game today will be the eventual winner, Georgetown, the favorite in St. John's. But I remember when you were in the tournament, you were there 3 times in the Final Four. Back in '66, everyone said Kentucky Duke winner will win the national title. Didn't turn out that way.
Well, the only thing I can say about that is that's why they sell tickets. But we did have a great game between Kentucky. They edged us out and then went on to lose to Texas Western.
All right, Vic, you stay with us because we're going to take a look at some highlights of the first half of this Memphis State-Villanova game. So we'll be back with Vic Bubas here at Rupp Arena as we continue here in Lexington, Kentucky in just a moment. Back here at Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, where Villanova and Memphis State in this first national semifinal game are all tied 23-23. I'm Dick Stockton along with Vic Bubas at halftime, and I guess nothing really surprising about this game generally except maybe the man-for-man defense Memphis State showed right off the top.
Well, that's true, and this game is as close as everybody thought it was going to be. Memphis State has had some easy buckets inside, but then again, Villanova can throw that tricky matchup defense at you. Dick, it might come down to who's going to have the ball with the lead at the end, who's going to make those free throws.
Let's take a look, Vic, at some of the highlights of the first half, and as you just pointed out, Memphis State was really terrific inside. William Bedford, who really is coming on as a center, the 7-footer, and here he is on the alley-oop from Andre Turner, showing Memphis State's inside play. No question of their dominance there.
Well, that's right, and that's a high percentage shot, but Villanova shut that down a little bit later, but Memphis State had it early.
Villanova struggled, I guess, a little bit from the outside early. Memphis State went from the man-to-man to the 2-3 zone, and then Villanova started hitting from outside. We talked about the men coming off the bench like Harold Jensen. Harold Jensen hit 2 baskets just when Villanova needed it the most, when they were trailing by a score of 13-7, and this is one of those baskets by Harold Jensen after a Dwayne McClain steal. The bench has really helped Villanova, and they're starting to hit from outside.
Well, that's what happened against North Carolina also. Jensen came in the game, helped them out with some buckets from the outside. That opened it up inside a little bit, and they must have that combination.
But I guess the story of the ball game has to be almost a 2-to-1 edge that Memphis State has in rebounding. And of course, Keith Lee, he picked up 2 personal fouls, wasn't a big offensive threat scoring wise, but here's what he did off the boards. He had 7 rebounds in the first half. Keith Lee giving Memphis State a tremendous 20-to-11 rebounding edge, and yet Villanova very much in this ball game.
Dick, that is surprising, but once again, I think it's going to boil down to who has that lead. I'm surprised that Villanova is this close without that rebound potential that is shown there. So toward the end, let's see what happens, who makes those free throws, and who has the lead.
All right, Vic, great job with the tournament committee. Thanks for being
Thank you very much.
Vic Bubas is with us, and don't forget, coming up the second half, all tied at 23, Memphis State and Villanova. We'll be back with Brendan Billy here in Rupp Arena in
Villanova and Memphis State tied at the half at 23, and Billy, Vic Bubas alluded to that trick matchup zone that Villanova likes to use. Exactly what is it, and why does it cause teams so much trouble?
Well, Brent, it's been called the combination defense, and at Villanova, Jack Kraft, who preceded Raleigh Massimino, called it the ball defense. It's a defense that basically is a zone, but you also are guarding the men in your areas. And Raleigh gives you so many different looks as to how he gets into that defense that it's hard. Do you run your man-to-man offense, or do you run your zone offense? I think in the case of today of Memphis State, they have to start penetrating with the dribble a little bit to force Villanova to commit one way or the other.
Well, Billy, neither team shooting well here in the first half. 41% for Villanova and 40% for Memphis State. Offensive rebounds, an enormous edge for Memphis State. But here is why they do not lead in the game. Second chance points, not a single one.
Well, that's because Villanova is so well schooled in blocking out. The other thing Villanova does so well, Brent, they do not let you fast break. Their transition game is great. And so far today, even though Memphis State grabs the rebound, they just can't commit and get down the court quickly enough to get 2 points.
All right, we're tied at the half, and we'll be back with the second half after this commercial and a message from your local station.
National semifinal game between the Villanova Wildcats and the Memphis State Tigers is sponsored by exceptionally smooth Michelob. Where you're going, it's Michelob. Honda Motorcycles, inventors of the ATC three-wheelers. Honda, follow the leader. And by Mazda and the full line of sophisticated Mazda products.
Back, and one of the things to watch out for with Memphis State, they have a trick play that we have seen them use this season. And Villanova has dedicated this entire season to Jake Nevin. He has been their head trainer since 1929. He has been confined in a wheelchair, and one of the doctors said to him, "Jake, you're suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease." And he looked up and he said, "That can't be, Doc. I never played first base a day in my life." The man has a marvelous sense of humor, and the team dearly loves him. After they beat North Carolina, they were all over rubbing his bald head. They said it would bring them good luck here in Lexington. Well, that's something they need against the Tigers of Memphis State right now. 20 minutes for a berth in the championship game on Monday night, and we're deadlocked at 23.
Villanova starts with that matchup zone that we've all been talking about and handled it very well so far.
Holmes gets his own miss and puts it back in.
Not a good job that time by the Villanova guards. That ball was in that no man's land area for a rebound. You got to go back and get it. Might have been back court. The ball had not come over front court. Very close.
Pinckney maneuvering. Of course, right away, Memphis State gets help with a second chance point. And that could give them a big edge in this game if they take those offensive rebounds and turn them into points immediately.
And again, Villanova showing they're so tough to get a fast break against. Their transition game from offense back to defense is about as good as anybody in the country. Dana Kirk wanting to play the patient game. He said, if they want to dance slow, we'll dance slow. Very versatile club out there for Memphis State. They'd like to get Keith Lee the ball on this time.
Tried to get it to Bedford. Knocked out of bounds. Dwayne McClain was back helping out for Raleigh.
It's so difficult to get two men the size of Lee and Bedford to play smoothly in the post because they take up so much room. It's easy to defense them in there.
Bedford. He gets his own miss. Goes inside, and Dwayne McClain sticks with it, and finally Bedford pounds in, and now that tremendous difference in offensive rebounding is starting to show up on the scoreboard.
And here's Memphis State. They're staying in that man-to-man. They played a little zone today, but primarily they've been a man-to-man team.
Gary McClain.
In the first half, they let McClain take that shot, and he didn't hit it. Drilled that one.
Lee. Bedford was reaching up over the top of Pinckney, and that's his third personal foul.
One of the reasons that Ed Pinckney is so good at drawing fouls, not only on the offensive end where he uses his quickness, but he's excellent at blocking out inside. He put the body on Bedford, and he tried to go over his back, and it just didn't work.
Jensen along with Gary McClain. Presley, Dwayne McClain, and Pinckney up front. Here is Pinckney. Bedford trying to stay out of foul trouble. Had to be less active, and look at Pinckney.
Sensational play by Eddie Pinckney because he had to know Keith Lee was right there. Now we're looking at two big men in college basketball with again. He lives there. You know, put in perspective how often Eddie Pinckney's been on the line. Chris Mullen, who is constantly on the line for St. John's, actually has been there 15 times less than Eddie Pinckney over the course of the year against basically the same competition.
Bedford sitting down with his 3 personals, and Bailey back on the floor for Memphis State. Villanova leads again.
Pinckney coming from the weak side, and in this defense, what helps Eddie Pinckney is that he very seldom has to handle the man that gets the ball originally inside. He can come over from the weak side to help out.
Gary McLean goes down, and here comes Turner.
McLean tried to challenge the little man. He's going to lose.
McLean goes down again, and Turner comes to tie him up. And a personal foul is called on Turner.
Smart for Turner is to not go ahead and jump on McLean, because if you're standing and fall to the ground with the ball, they'll call you for walking. When Turner reached in, that's what committed the foul. Now watch him right here. At that point, Turner should have just stayed away from him. And there's no question it was a foul.
Knocked away by Askew.
Setting screens up top.
Dwayne McLean maneuvering. He is 5 of 7. And again, the big man for Memphis State. The set with foul trouble.
Villanova is back in that zone in much tighter here in the second half than they did the first. Although McLean's out at the top now, as a pass is made, you can see he drops inside the foul line. So there will be some jump shots available.
Lee. Villanova.
Villanova doesn't give you the break, but they don't look for it much themselves either.
Attempting to regain the lead. Pinckney. Fouled by Lee. That's number 4 on Keith Lee.
Well, Dana Kirk has tried to protect Lee all day by maneuvering players in and out of the game, but this is a big foul here. I thought Lee had all ball. I thought the foul was on Bailey with the body. But Lee gets called.
Lee has sat out better than an hour already in this NCAA tournament because of foul trouble. Here he is forced out at the 15:32 mark with Memphis State ahead of Villanova by a point.
That was the 4th team foul on Memphis State, none on Villanova so far here in the second half.
And Villanova, a good foul shooting team.
What's interesting, you know, there's Keith Lee on that bench. Villanova's shooting 71% as a team this year. Their opponents are shooting 74%. That is really some percentage. This defense has really taken away Turner's offense. There he takes another shot.
Run down by Askew. Bailey jump pass inside. Now the turnover, it's Jensen. Turner came in and he fouled Gary McLean, reaching in. That is the second.
Turner didn't want that call. Pretty strong kid. McLean is also. And he just attacked him with that ball.
Now it is 5 team fouls on Memphis State and none on Villanova. Billy, a look at that Villanova defense.
Now we talk about the matchup zone. Villanova really a 2-3 zone, but you see how unusual it looks right there to the offense. Now, Eddie Pinckney's on the back line, but he's not stationary. When he sees men come up into the lane, he moves up into the lane. So although it is a zone in concept, they move like it's man-to-man when a man comes in their area.
And when he steps up, did you see him come out of there?
He can run very, very quick.
Villanova leading Memphis State 32-31. This is the first of our semifinals this afternoon. Still to come, Georgetown and St. John's, and then the winners will meet Monday night for the national championship.
One of the things that helps too when you play that type of defense is have a very senior-oriented type club, because you've got to play it a lot to play it well, and that's what Villanova has. Pinckney was open.
Pass was away from him as he was leaving that area on the turnover. Memphis State coming in. Gary McLean keeps Turner back out. Askew is 1 of 3 and has not been looking for his shot.
Well, 2 weeks in a row with Kenny Smith, the great point guard of North Carolina, never really being able to challenge this defense. And now you have Turner having problems.
Becton. McLean gives it over to Gary McLean. They are not related.
Dana Kirk may have a big decision coming up pretty soon, Brent, in the fact that he may have to bring Lee back sooner than he expected if he can't make some kind of move and go back and play him in a zone.
Presley passed up the shot. He was 0 of 5 in the first half. Pinckney on the turnaround.
Bedford really disgusted with himself because he thought he had Pinckney well defensed.
Memphis State is scoreless since 1644. We're at the 13:30 mark in the game now. Holmes fouled by Dwayne McLean, and that's 2 on Dwayne. And that is the first team foul against Villanova this half.
Which really helps Raleigh. He likes to be in that position where he doesn't have that other ball club on that foul line, particularly late in the game, because he'll use them very well. Dangerous pass. Askew is the fellow that they're giving the shot to here in the second half on the wing, and he hasn't been taking his jump shot. There it is. He's got it. He won't take it.
Bedford. 3 men, and he traveled.
Oh, it's the technical foul.
Turnover, and now there is a technical foul being called against Memphis State.
White, and then I've got a technical foul against Bedford. I don't know his number, okay? And we will shoot and then take it out of bounds.
The official that called that foul, we ought to say something about the officials, Ben. We'll see the play coming up. Now, there was a case where Askew wouldn't take the jump shot, so he put his teammate Bedford in a tough position. Bedford backed in and got the foul. He was so upset he's going to throw the behind-the-back pass, and when he did, it caused the technical. The officials for today's game were the 3 officials that were selected as having the best game in the 4 regionals last year as a crew, or last week. And that's how they advanced to the Final 4. We'll see that behind-the-back pass, and that's a technical. Villanova getting that little spread margin now, 4 points and the ball. And they're tough without the clock. They're a very patient team. Now Memphis State picking up their defense. Good half-court pressure.
Jensen. Presley, he was fouled. Picking up that rebound, and that is 4 fouls. But if it's going against Becton,
I think it's Bedford.
And that's Bedford's 4th.
Keith Lee's got to come back. That's what Dana Kirk's going to do. Now, what makes it so tough? You bring Lee back, but you don't have the lead, so you can't go in the zone to protect it. So everything coming up roses right here for Villanova.
Bedford sitting with his 4, and Keith Lee playing with 4 fouls.
the zone defense. Let's see if Villanova pulls it out and makes them play man-to-man.
Cross court to Jensen, who will take it. Picking it up considerably in the second half. 12 minutes to go in a spot Monday night's championship game. Knocked away by Presley, run down by Holmes in the corner. Here's Lee coming down the baseline, and Presley came back on him, and Pinckney was there.
Eddie Pinckney thought Keith Lee was charging, and had he played the defense for position instead of blocking his shot, he may have been able to pick up the charge. Good power move by Keith Lee inside. Lee has got to be careful, but you can't be too careful when you're down 6. Let's see also, Brent, if Memphis State tries to pick up full court, if Lee makes these, to try to get some pressure and get this game turning into a little bit more of a up and down the court type game.
St. John's helping out a brother from the Big East. You can see their fans waving their arms at Keith Lee at the free throw line. Memphis State had gone almost 5 minutes without a point before Keith Lee hit that free throw.
And here comes the full court pressure. 2-2-1 full court press.
Presley. Oh, move by Harold Presley. And that is his first field goal of the game. He missed 5 in a row.
And Villanova really picking up the confidence. You can see it in their eyes. Askew still reluctant to take the jump shot on the wing.
Turner has it knocked away by Gary McLean, who's got control.
Raleigh Massimino will not let Memphis State play the zone the rest of the way. He's going to spread them out and make them really work.
Wayne McLean, short, but Presley rebounding, and another big play by Harold Presley. Can you imagine Memphis State going up against somebody named Presley?
And you can see right now, Villanova going to spread that man-to-man out. Dana Kirk will not be able to play a zone, and Villanova can play the spread game extremely well.
Into Pinckney. Uses his shoulder. Beckton rebound.
Raleigh wanted that 5th foul so badly. And with this much time in the game and a 6-point lead, it's worthwhile going at Keith Lee a time or two.
Jensen helping to seal off Lee.
But again, Askew has got to take the shot.
They get it to Keith. Turn around, Pinckney is there. The foul is called on Memphis State. And that is number 5 on Keith Lee.
Brett, Dana Kirk has stated so many times that he thinks that a rule ought to be changed in basketball that a player cannot foul out. It's the only sport that takes place this way. And there's Lee going up, loses possession of the ball, comes down and comes over the back. Kind of a touch foul, but Presley out position. And that's it for Keith Lee unless his teammates can pull him out. He has to come back with Bedford, who's got 4 fouls on him. The court. He's staying right out there, but he's off. I don't know what the holdup is. You have to get a man in. He's trying to decide between Daly and Bedford. It's got to be Bedford. Disappointed young man right there, Keith Lee.
21 seconds, and Villanova now in control against Memphis State. Back in Lexington, Kentucky, I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer and Dick Stockton. 10 minutes and 21 seconds remaining. Villanova with 4 timeouts and Memphis State with 3. But the major story is the fact that Keith Lee has fouled out with those 10 minutes remaining. And that the 7-foot center, William Bedford, now must play with 4 fouls. And Villanova has picked up only 2 team fouls the entire second half.
That's extremely critical. They have packed that matchup zone way back inside. Memphis State is reluctant to take the short jump shot. They're going to have to do that to loosen up the zone. Brent, so many times in not only collegiate athletics, but any major team game, when the star fouls out or is no longer available, you see what his teammates are really made of. Last week, I think back to the Georgia Tech Georgetown game, where all of a sudden they know Patrick Ewing is not going to be available for 10 minutes or so, and Ralph Dalton came in and did the job. Let's see if anybody from Memphis State can do it.
The other side of it, of course, is that the opposition sometimes relaxes, knowing that the big man is off the floor, and they think it's all over.
Dwayne McClain is throwing up the darts today. That unusual looking shot, but he has been very positive throughout this game. Villanova's been amazing in the second half in the NCAA tournament. They've played very mediocre first half, but they've been a great second half team. That's about the worst rotation a shooter could possibly have on a ball, but they go in.
Sealed off that side. Grab the rebound. Villanova continues its run. It is now 13-2 over the last 6 minutes.
And you see Villanova changing their offensive strategy now, spreading the game out without a pivot man. And then Pinckney will slide down inside.
Traveling. We go over to Memphis State.
Memphis State has a pretty quick team on the floor right now, so they can go chase somebody man to man. Now, one big change now. Dana Kirk has put Askew at the top and put Turner on the wing, meaning that he wants to get Turner some jump shots from the wing, but I think he's on the wrong wing because he's up against McClain, who's got too much size on him. You can move him over on Becton's side and get the jump shot.
On the turnaround.
Full court pressure in the defense. 2-2-1 full court zone. Then drop back into a man-to-man.
McClain again goes down. Turner dueling him. He gets it to Presley. Here's Jensen. Presley. And a foul on Pinckney. That's 3 on Ed Pinckney.
Brent, you made an excellent point before about sometimes a team relaxes. Now, Villanova is not executing the way that they should in terms of spreading Memphis State out. I realize Memphis State has a quick team, but Raleigh can't be happy with the fact that everybody's trying to rush things so much. And maybe it is working out, just as you said. Turner wants that jump shot, but you can see McClain's just a little too tall for him on that side.
Takes it.
He hits it anyway. He stepped out a couple of feet. And that's exactly what Dana Kirk wanted. He realized he wasn't getting the shot at the top, and Askew wasn't taking it, so he moved him over there.
Presley ships it back to Dwayne McClain, and now Villanova again being very patient. The team in this tournament that has taken the best advantage of not having a shot clock is Villanova.
Pinckney wants that ball on Bedford inside to pick up the 5th. Eddie is so quick.
Gary McClain. Becton. Hands to Turner. Memphis State can pull to within 2. I have seen Memphis State on several occasions this year play better with Keith Lee on the bench. It seems to unclog the middle a little bit, especially for Bedford. He's got room to maneuver inside.
And I think this move with Askew on the top makes them a lot tougher to defense. He's got good size up there. Just a small adjustment, but one that helps their team.
Bedford. Beckton rebounding, and the foul is called on Villanova. It'll be on Presley as he broke out of there over the back, his third.
If Dana Kirk was over watching the game without the emotion involved right now, I bet you he would take that move. Here you see the shot going up. Villanova blocking out pretty well, but from nowhere, coming on the side is Willie Beckton. But I believe he would move Turner over to Beckton's side because he'd be matched up with Jensen and could get that shot. Free throw shooter. There's that 2-2-1 zone press again. And Turner's looking to try to pick off some kind of pass.
Villanova's missed 5 shots in a row.
Normally Turner would be a guy playing up in the front, but he's so quick back there he almost picked it off.
Wally Massimino wanted a timeout. There go the Redmen of St. John's back toward their locker room here in Lexington. They'll play the next game on our doubleheader against the Georgetown Hoyas.
You know, Brent, that's kind of interesting. Different coaches have different ways of doing things. The Redmen show up in their uniforms, okay? They come over from the hotel, and Georgetown shows up in coat and tie. A lot of different ways to run a ball club, isn't it?
The headline, Keith Lee has fouled out. This could be his last game as a college basketball player. Young William Bedford must carry on inside with 4 personal fouls. 6:57, and since Lee fouled out, Memphis has outscored Villanova 6-2. Villanova scoreless for the last 3 minutes.
That was a good timeout by Raleigh Massimino because his club really did get confused. They probably got a little complacent out there. Now they're going back to the regular offense. They're not trying to spread things out. Trying to get Eddie Pinckney the ball.
He's got it. And he traveled.
Excellent call by the official. Eddie Pinckney was trying to work so hard to get that foul. Bedford would not commit. For just a sophomore, that was a great defensive play by Bedford. Askew just will not take the jump shot. And he's got a good one.
Beckton. He misses. Jensen rebound. 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Presley comes through. Missing, and Holmes crashes inside on Pinckney, and he drew the personal foul.
Today there's been a lot of pressure that Presley has put on that defense by penetrating with the dribble. He didn't make that shot, but it really created an opening for Eddie Pinckney. Villanova's still not in the 1-and-1 on the other end of the court defensively, so they're in pretty good shape there.
Presley off the miss.
He won't show up much in the stats tomorrow, but he's made big plays.
And there's still some big ones to come before this one's over.
Villanova spreading it, but right now Memphis State showing some pretty good man-to-man defense. Surprising Raleigh is spreading it, hanging on to it with this much time to go in the half. He's up against some tough defense here.
off the bad pass, and the foul is called on Dwayne McClain.
Well, Brent, I was really surprised Villanova tried to hang on the ball at this point in the game because Memphis State has a quick team out there, and if you just kind of hang on to it as aggressively as they're playing, sooner or later it's going to be turned over. Good job by Turner. And a chance to tie it up. And look who's over on this side. Andre Turner's over here to take the jump shot. He's got it.
There's the shot that you said was there. He doesn't get the roll. Presley with another big rebound.
But the shot was there, and Dana Kirk realized where the opening was against that zone.
Turner goes down trying to draw the charge. No whistle. 4.5 minutes to go here in Lexington.
Turner went down and hurt himself.
Turner injured a leg. Also has a shoelace untied, but he may have injured either a knee or an ankle.
He hit that ground. His leg kind of slipped out from underneath him. Now, Dana Kirk has either got to call a timeout now or he has to take him out of the game. And at this point, I think he'd be wise to take the timeout. Here he slips, and that knee just hit hard on the floor. What's Dana going to do? Looks like the referee's not going to make him do either. Well, you know Turner's not coming out of the game. He's a gutty little kid. He's over on the side where he can get a jump shot now.
Still another chance to tie. Pass into Bedford, foul by Dwayne McClain. That's his fourth.
Foul is charged to number 32, Dwayne McClain, his fourth, team sixth.
Well, both of these teams got to this Final Four by winning tight ball games, and they're going to get a chance to get down to the wire in another one.
Stuffed by Pinckney. Out of bounds, Memphis State ball.
That was a break for Memphis State, and then a tough turnaround jump shot from that position for Baskerville Holmes. His team get a better shot down two. Now, by overloading this zone the way that Memphis State's doing it, it changes the matchup that Villanova has.
Open over here on the left.
There it is.
Tied at 41.
Well, Brent, that's a great move by Dana Kirk, and not because he's doing what I mentioned, but because he realized what that zone was giving him, and he moved his men accordingly.
Villanova has not scored since the 10-minute mark. We're down to 3:14.
Now Ronnie Massimino goes back to his regular half-court offense.
Dwayne McClain rises in the air, and Baskerville Holmes commits his fourth personal.
That'd be a big loss for Dana Kirk. Now, he can replace some people, but Holmes has been the man defensively today that's got the perfect matchup size and quickness to go against Villanova.
For Villanova, shooting two.
Last year, Baskerville Holmes was the 6th, 7th man type. Bobby Parks got hurt. He came in and did an excellent job. And had Memphis State not suffered some very tough injuries last year, they might have been in the Final Four last year. See that rotation on that ball on TV, Brent, but most people have the ball spin right over the top of itself. This goes up kind of like a knuckleball, but they do go in.
And that one that went in ended 6 minutes and 56 seconds of Villanova not scoring a single point. So Dwayne McClain has hit 2 free throws here to put them back ahead. We're at the 3-minute mark.
Dana Kirk wants a timeout.
Seconds left to go here in Lexington. Villanova leading Memphis State. Villanova with one more timeout remaining in regulation. As for the foul situation, Lee, of course, is already fouled out, but now Dwayne McClain has joined Holmes and Bedford with 4 fouls apiece. The possession arrow in favor of Raleigh Massimino and Villanova at the moment.
Both of these clubs, to get to the Final Four, have really experienced close games getting here. For Memphis State, the last 3 games that they played, here we see Villanova to start off with. Hey, they played up at Dayton, a very difficult place to win, and win a 2-pointer at the buzzer. So they had 2 very tough games to get here, and then, of course, the Maryland-North Carolina game, they had somewhat of a breather in the second half. But look at Memphis State.
They were put into overtime by UAB. Then they beat Boston College at the buzzer, hung on against Oklahoma.
In the last game of regular season, remember Florida State, they had to go to overtime and get that one tied up at the buzzer.
Captured the Metro Conference Championship in overtime.
Dana Kirk called that time out to make sure they got a good shot on this possession.
Holmes wants it inside. Swings back to Askew, who is strictly a passer here this afternoon.
By Askew not taking the shots, he's putting a lot of pressure on his teammates.
Bedford chips it back to Turner, who's open. A brilliant pass by Bedford, but he couldn't hit it. And McClain with a powerful rebound for the Wildcats. 2:20 now remaining.
Bedford really had some presence of mind to get that ball back out because he was hung up in the air with no shot. And now a 4 corners offense by Villanova.
Dwayne puts it down, gets inside Holmes and jams on him. Bedford with 4 fouls could not come over as aggressively as he normally would have. But he got that quick first step, and Nova now leads by 4. 17 points for McClain.
Now the clock becomes the opponent again, and for Memphis State, they've got to get a shot up here.
Beckton will take it, goes to the glass, and they're back to within 2 at the 140 mark.
And the 2-2-1 full court pressure again. Turner looking.
Fouled by Askew.
Presley goes to the line, a 64% free throw shooter. We've mentioned this a time or 2 in the season. He's very unusual on the foul line. He either drills them perfectly or throws up the craziest looking air balls you'll ever see. He goes to the line with a lot of pressure right now. Highly recruited out of New England. Considered one of the top 25 prospects in the country. You can see under a 60% free throw shooter in the last 4 minutes. And he drills it. Now what has helped is Villanova players rebound very well when he goes to the line on missed free throws, because his fouls that he missed usually bounce way back out.
Side that time, and Bedford hands it to Turner. Memphis State down by 3.
Askew will not take the jump shot, and it's putting so much pressure on his teammates.
Gets it into Bedford. It is a 1-point game at the 117 mark. Timeout. Dana Kirk will bring his team over. To the last minute, 15 seconds of regulation, and whom to foul, Billy?
Okay, here are the percentages on the line. Not much difficulty making a choice, particularly if you've scouted Villanova over the course of the year. And we showed that Presley drops down even below the 60% in the last 4 minutes of the game. So if he touches the ball, you've got to go after it. Memphis State, not as good a free throw shooting team. Askew, who has proven today that he doesn't want to shoot, is the guy you'd go after. I'm so surprised Askew had the good rhythm at the end of the regular season looking for his jump shot, particularly in the Louisville game, which was a big game for them to clinch the Metro regular season championship. But today he just hasn't looked for the shot. On this press, look for Andre Turner to try to sneak under people and pick off a pass. He's very deceptive.
He was lurking out here in center field, just waiting for an opportunity. Now he'll pick up Gary McLean.
And Villanova in the four corners. And remember what happened the last time. Dwayne McLean was able to beat Holmes with a one-on-one dribble. And that's all for Holmes. Big foul there. They didn't want that.
Baskerville Holmes joins Keith Lee on the Memphis State bench.
Now Dana Kirk looks down his bench, and he can't go back with big people. He's got to go back with somebody that's got some quickness. You look down that team, I think we're going to see Will Fong in the ball game now. Dana has to realize that that's 5. He's got Will Fong to call on. He could go with McCoy, but I think we'll see Will Fong. And it's funny, you see those players saying, is it going to be me? Some kids want to come off the bench right now. Now, Will Fong has the great genes. Both his dad and his uncle were outstanding players at Memphis State. I'd go for the genes. Nope, it's not going to be.
It's Dwight Boyd.
Yep. No, it is.
Ah, wait a minute. He's changed it.
Okay, here we go.
Jeans.
One for the jeans, right? Well, you get the gut feeling, you know, hey, we're in Kentucky, right? You go by bloodlines. This kid's family have been winners at Memphis State, and he gets picked to come in the game. Now if they slap a little color in his face, he'd be in great shape.
But none any bigger than this one about to be put up by Dwayne McLean. And that's a 2-point Villanova lead.
Boy, McLean has given some kind of senior performance today. He's been solid in every aspect of the game. No streaks at all except hot streaks.
54 seconds for Memphis State.
Got to get one up in the next 10 seconds here.
Bedford.
Fine catch.
Turner realizes it. Penetrated. Wouldn't stay in. Pinckney. And now Villanova is just 35 seconds away from a shot at a national championship.
Got a foul. They have got the foul. They have got the foul because they need 2 possessions. They've got the foul.
And finally, Turner fouls Gary McLean.
The problem there for Memphis State was, and the reason they had the foul quickly, and that's a little bit early to celebrate, but they needed 2 possessions. Brent down 3 points.
Closing in on the title game.
And closing in possibly on an all-Big East final. Not since '76 have we had 2 teams from the same conference in a final game.
certainly the long shots of this NCAA tournament championship. They were the 8th seeded team in their region. They upset Michigan. They knocked out North Carolina. And now they're within 21 seconds of playing for the national championship Monday night against either St. John's or Georgetown.
And remember, the last time that we saw them against Georgetown, they had a comfortable lead at halftime on our game during regular season. Turner trying to penetrate. Rollie Massimino ready for it.
Missing. Wilfong tapped back, and Villanova will play for the championship. Let the celebration begin in Philadelphia. The Wildcats have done it.
We still have 4 seconds to go. The officials are trying to get everybody organized out there. Fans coming out of the stands.
Thank you very much, Brent Musburger. And so Villanova has defeated Memphis State 52-45. And last week, Dana Kirk, the Memphis State coach, said the winner of the Oklahoma-Memphis State game will go right into the finals. And Rollie Massimino replied by saying, tell Dana he still has a game to play. And what a game the Villanova Wildcats play today. Defense the difference once again. Villanova had that 8-point lead, and they let Memphis State get back in because they got a little over-aggressive and maybe a little cocky that they thought the game was won. But in the end, Dwayne McClain controlled things. Dean Smith and Joe Hall will be with us. We'll have interviews as well. We'll come back to Rupp Arena in Lexington in just a moment. Big East final. Villanova beats Memphis State 52-45 in the Chevrolet. Most valuable players are Dwayne McClain of Villanova, 19 points and 5 rebounds. Baskerville Holmes of Memphis State had 8 points. So the Villanova Wildcats, the giant killers who knocked off the likes of Michigan and North Carolina, now have beaten Memphis State, and they're in the championship game. Will play the winner of Georgetown and St. John's. And of course, I'll have Dean Smith and Joe B. Hall up here in a little while. But right now, let's go down to a very happy Villanova contingent in Brent Musburger. Brent?
Happy indeed, Dick. I don't know if they've run out of emotion yet, but Gary McLean and Dwayne McLean, congratulations. And one more time for you, Raleigh.
Yeah, one more time is right. We're really ecstatic. The kids played great defense. And what can I tell you? When they had their backs to the wall after being up 8, they came and tied it. They responded tremendously. This is a great group. They play great defense.
Dwayne, all year long, people around the country, including ourselves here at CBS, been talking about you being a streak player. Today, you put on one of the most consistent performances I've seen in a semifinal game in every phase of the game. Being a senior, was this something very, very special to you?
Definitely. We definitely want the season to end, so this is a great time for us to start playing consistent.
You made that move when you went 4 corners. That's a time when, of course, you're looking for only the special play, but did you feel you had the move on the sideline to take basketball home?
No, definitely. They were denying my teammates out front, so they left the baseline wide open, so I just took it.
We're going to see you on a highlight here. Let you be a little TV announcer for a second. This may be the play I was talking about.
Yeah, this is it. They were denying Gary and Al Jensen out front, and the baseline was wide open.
Raleigh, you talked about that lead you had, and it's one of those tough places to be as a coach. You got the nice lead, you got the star player on the bench and out of the ball game. Do you go delay? Do you try to play your half court? It was really a tough choice for you.
We played for a while. Then with 5-something to go, we went delayed because they were denying us the ball. So then, all of a sudden, we couldn't get anything there. I said, let's go back to our normal stuff. I didn't want to hold the ball at all. I just wanted us to execute what we were best at. And we got a little tentative only because, you know, you're in the semifinals of the tournament. It makes it very, very difficult.
Gary,
but they responded.
Gary, how about the duel with Andre Turner? That was very spirited between you two.
Hey, he is a great young player. I mean, he's a classy player. He plays hard all 40 minutes of the game. You have to give him and his Memphis State Tigers all the credit.
Tell me who you'd rather play, St. John's and Chris Mullen, Georgetown and Michael Jackson.
Hey, I don't care. I just want to play, and I'm so happy that we are here. That's all. I'm elated.
Raleigh, how about you? Which one do you want?
I don't care. It makes no difference. They're both great basketball teams. They're both my friends. I think we probably should play Thompson because we played St. John's 3 times. Let's play John 3 times. See what happens. Maybe we get a better shot.
All right. Congratulations to Raleigh Massimino and the Wildcats of Villanova. Let's go upstairs to Dick Stockton. Dick.
Thank you very much, Brent. And, of course, up here we have Joe B. Hall, who, of course, is watching this Final Four, having retired as a coach at University of Kentucky. And Dean Smith has been to the Final Four more than any active coach. Joe, I'm going to show you one highlight first, and that's going to be Ed Pinkney, who really was a guy that may have turned things around for Villanova. He forced Keith Lee into his 3rd personal foul right here and gave Villanova the lead.
Well, no question that was a key, Dick. And Lee foul prone, which was a flaw in Memphis State's armor, and it certainly cost them today. But a beautiful play by Pinkney, a good fake and a good reverse layup.
His quickness just seems to be something that neither Bedford or Lee could handle inside.
Well, there's no question that he has that ability to outmaneuver a big man, and he's very quick. He has that explosive jumping ability. He's just a fine player.
Dean, you know full well what it's like when Villanova has the lead and they want to play that tempo game. We're going to take a look now how Villanova broke a full-court press attempt by Memphis State and Harold Presley on a very impressive reverse layup.
I thought it was outstanding, and Presley's a very good ball handler. Watch him here go underneath and then showing his athletic skill. And that was an important basket, but this whole game boiled down to so many important things. It was funny, I thought Rowley did a great job keeping the ball out of Bedford's hands and out of Keith Lee's hands, and that was very important.
No surprise what Villanova has done here, I'm sure, to you.
They're a veteran team. Experience helps, and they have 3 seniors and 2 juniors, and certainly deserve to be here and deserve to win today because they did it defensively.
Okay, Dean and Joe, please stay here because we want to get your thoughts on the upcoming game between St. John's and Georgetown. And we'll take a look and preview that ball game when we return to Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky after this.
Favored Harold Presley and Wildcat Company. Memphis State's fortunes dimmed on this play. Star Keith Lee's history of foul problems came to a head. He makes the bad play and the foul, and with 10 minutes left in the game, Lee headed for the bench, having fouled out. Villanova built a lead, then withstood a Memphis State surge. Dwayne McLean led the Cats with 19 points. Here's McLean with the slam. The Wildcats also made their free throws down the stretch as Villanova legend Jake Nevins and Rollie Massimino have a date with destiny Monday night at Lexington. the Wildcats. It will be an all Big East final as Rollie Massimino's club will play, no, not St. John's Louis Carter II, but Georgetown.
In Monday's NCAA basketball championship, the Villanova Wildcats made sure of that. This afternoon at Lexington's Rupp Arena, the Wildcats beat Memphis State 52-45. Memphis State, going to the inside, took control early. William Bedford with a slam over Ed Pinckney. But Bedford and the Tiger front line were kept in check. Bedford with just 8 points. Villanova came back, tying it at 20.
Like those champions from other eras, the Hoyas have been brought to this historic moment by a giant force in the middle, the overpowering presence of Patrick Ewing. Tonight, this superb athlete is playing his last college game. But Ewing's muscle is not the whole Georgetown story. For the supporting cast this year is better than ever before. These 85 Hoyas have more speed and depth than previous teams in the Ewing era. Rollie Massimino's scrappy Villanova team is the last hurdle in Georgetown's path to a second straight championship. And the Wildcats have their own blend of impressive skill. Their strong suit in this tournament has been an aggressive and complex defense. Villanova has held 4 opponents to under 50 points. On offense, the Wildcats rely more on poise and finesse. They will try to control the tempo of the game with a structured and deliberate style of attack. They are a veteran team with a history of playing Georgetown and Ewing tough. And tonight, these Cats are more confident than ever. So grab your bag of popcorn and step on inside the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. It's the 1985 NCAA championship between the Wildcats of Villanova and the Hoyas of Georgetown. Everybody, and welcome. I am Brent Musburger. You know, this one championship game transcends a lot more than just this season. This is the end of the Patrick Ewing era, and after tonight, we'll know just how good this Georgetown team is. Only 5 schools have ever won back-to-back NCAA championships. It started with Oklahoma State back in 1945. The last school to accomplish that feat was UCLA. They won 7 in a row, and it finally ended in 1973. And so now, Billy Packer, Georgetown is just 1 win away from joining the elite.
Well, Brent, just 2 years ago, we were saying Houston, 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 one of the great teams of all time. Now we're saying Georgetown, Georgetown, Georgetown. Remember, NC State won that game 2 years ago, so it's not without reason that maybe Villanova could do it tonight.
All right, Billy, and also with us tonight is our colleague, Dick Stockton. Let's go up to Dick.
Thank you very much, Brent, and good evening, everyone. You know, Georgetown and Patrick Ewing are not the only stories of historical significance. We may be seeing the last NCAA tournament game played without a shot clock. And for Villanova, it may be their best hope because no team has taken advantage of the lack of a clock better than the Wildcats. They would like to see a game in the 50s, cut a 40-minute game into a 20-minute contest, and use free throws down the stretch in a close game. But other coaches have their opinions, and this is what they feel that they would tell Rollie Massimino.
I really think he has a great chance of winning it if he spreads it out and holds the ball.
I think Villanova's defense will give Georgetown some problems. If they can control tempo and make it a 48-47 ball game, they got a chance to upset the #1 team in the country.
Really understands what has to be done to win.
If Rollie Massimino is a student of history, he knows that scenes like this 2 years ago have a way of happening.
20 years before that North Carolina State game, I knew anything could happen on any night.
Well, I'll tell you what, the only opinions that count are the 2 coaches. Massimino's the kind of guy you can walk up to and hug, and he'll hug you back. John Thompson is aloof, and he's a far more private person. But despite their differences, they both are superb technicians. Here's what they have to say.
It's probably more to our benefit if it's a high-scoring game. But
if we can keep it in the 60s and maybe in the 50s, then we have a heck of a chance.
Pinckney is a major factor, I think, because Pinckney has the ability to get the ball inside and create foul problems for people.
But Patrick concerns me. Probably more so than Edward concerns him.
Everybody's looking at poor Villanova. You know, they're the underdogs. The underdogs are not here at the last 2 games. They're a good team.
Well, keep in mind, Villanova played Georgetown tough in 2 games this year, but the Hoyas are playing exceptional basketball right now. Coming up, the NCAA championship game from Lexington, Kentucky.
Have met twice this season. In game 1, Villanova led by 8 points at the half and had a chance to win in regulation, but missed this shot at the buzzer. Then in overtime, Rollie Massimino kept them close. But Georgetown was too much for the Wildcats, and a shot at the buzzer failed as Villanova lost by 2. In Game 2, the Hoyas won by only 7, but the Villanova players gained a confidence they could play with the champs.
I couldn't have written a better script myself.
We're in no way, in awe of the Georgetown team.
You can feel it that we're there. We're in the final game, one more, and it'll be total hysteria.
NCAA championship. It's an all Big East Conference affair. The only time in championship history since 1976, when, of course, it was Indiana and Michigan in the Big Ten. Billy, we talk so much about Patrick Ewing. We overlook some of the other splendid stars on that Georgetown team. I remember Reggie Williams out in Seattle last year.
Well, 2 years ago, he was the #1 high school player in America. Last year, he was the MVP in the championship game. A superlative inside player.
Then there was David Wingate, who hounded Chris Mullen on Saturday.
Not only a super defensive player, this guy has probably the quickest first step with the ball in college basketball.
Over on the Villanova side, Ed Pinckney's the big man, but how about Dwayne McClain?
He's been a streak player throughout his career. Great ability, and on Saturday, he played 40 minutes of great basketball.
Coming up now, it's one game, and a national championship is at stake.
Tonight's 1985 National Championship game between the Villanova Wildcats and the Georgetown Hoyas is sponsored by Chevrolet, who invite you to see, drive, and live today's Chevrolet. Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste. And by Mr. Goodwrench and General Motors Parts.
The starting lineups for tonight's championship game, and here's the PA announcer at the Rupp Arena, Frank Fallon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rupp Arena for tonight's NCAA National Championship game between the Villanova Wildcats and the Georgetown Hoyas. Now, let's meet the starting lineups. For Villanova, at forward, a 6'7" junior from Mystic, Connecticut, number 21, Harold Presley. For Georgetown at forward, a 6'7" senior from Washington, D.C., number 24, Bill Martin. For Villanova at forward, a 6'6" senior from Worcester, Massachusetts, number 33, Dwayne McClain. For Georgetown at forward, a 6'7" sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland, number 34, Reggie Williams. At center, a 6'10" senior from the Bronx, New York, number 54, Ed Pinckney. For Georgetown at center, a 7-foot senior from Cambridge, Massachusetts, number 33, Patrick Ewing. For Villanova at guard, a 6'2" junior from Patterson, New Jersey, number 4, Dwight Wilbur. For Georgetown at guard, a 6'2" junior from Weston, Virginia, number 30, Michael Jackson. For Villanova at guard, a 6-foot senior from Hempstead, New York, number 22, Gary McClain. And for Georgetown at guard, a 6'5" junior from Baltimore, Maryland, number 40, David Wingate. And introducing the head coaches. For Villanova, Rolly Massimino. For Georgetown, John Thompson.
The tip-off is next. It's Georgetown and Villanova. Georgetown's march toward basketball history began with Lehigh and then concluded with St. John's in the semifinal Saturday afternoon. As for Villanova, they came in 8th seeded in the Southeast region. They beat Dayton at home and then eliminated Memphis State in the semifinal. These two teams have played each other twice this year. Villanova led both times at the half, but then Patrick Ewing and the Hoyas pulled it out. 52-50 in overtime and 57-50 when the rematch was staged in Landover.
Patrick Ewing got that tap. That ought to be Villanova ball. Good call. Brent, when you look at those scores of Villanova in the NCAA tournament, they have played every game in the 50s. That is their game, so fans ought to keep up with that early. Georgetown starts in a 1-3-1 half-court track, trying to force Villanova to go faster.
They get a turnover right away off the defense, and they break free with Jackson, but there was a whistle. Gary McLean committed the foul as they came across the timeline.
And if you're John Thompson, that's exactly what you want to do early in this ball game. Create a pace on defense that forces Villanova to push the ball towards the basket. Now defensively for Villanova, they play a zone defense. They match up to where the Georgetown players are, and they play this matchup zone as well as anybody in the country.
Patrick Ewing, Bill Martin, and now it is Jackson swinging it to David Wingate. Here's Martin. Reggie Williams is 34.
And you can see that Georgetown can take whatever you give them. They're very patient offensively. When it's time to run, they run. When it's time to be patient, they're patient.
Jackson misses, but Williams rebounds, comes back inside, and he pushed off. It's an offensive foul on Williams as he drove toward the glass. He pushed into his man.
That was excellent blockout technique that time by Eddie Pinckney, but what happened to him, he was blocking out so much, nobody picked up Williams.
Full court pressure right away by the Hoyas.
Villanova does a good job beating man-to-man pressure because McLean really protects the ball. Now there's the 1-3-1 defense on the part of Georgetown.
Unusual because Ewing comes out in this defense with Martin lurking in behind. Dwayne McLean into the corner, and Wilbur, they trap, but Wilbur comes to Eddie Pinckney. Pinckney lost control, but got it to Harold Presley, who put it in. It didn't look pretty, but it counts.
And why that was so effective is Eddie Pinckney took it right at Patrick Ewing to occupy the space. Ewing has such great leaping ability that unless you take the ball to him, he'll cover 2 men at one time.
Pinckney has been bothered the last few days by the flu. When I was over here at the Villanova practice earlier today, he worked early, then sat down for a while, but said he'd be fine tonight. Cross court to Jackson.
That zone is basically 2-3, but then they match up.
Wingate.
Off balance, still hit the shot. Great body control. For those that don't see a lot of basketball, that is legal to step out of bounds and throw it the first pass over.
Trying to get it into Presley. Kicked. And the ball remains in the possession of the Wildcats.
Georgetown can show zone defenses, man-to-man defenses, trapping defense. They do a little bit of everything.
Wayne McLean with 33. Swings it back to Garrett. Spelled differently. Wilbur getting it to Dwayne, who comes inside, and they're challenging him, the big fella, early.
Now here you see the tandem defense. Two players playing behind each other, and then they'll drop back in kind of a 2-3 alignment.
Wingate. He hits his first two. And McLean gets it up against that pressure, protecting the ball.
Georgetown now playing man-to-man defense. As I said, they really switch things around. Look for Villanova to try to get the ball to Eddie Pinckney. This defense helps Villanova because they can go ahead and take their time.
Pinckney ships it over to Gary McLean. Dwayne comes inside, and remember, he's a great streak shooter, and he made a brilliant move to get inside pressure that time.
Sensational shot because the defense on McLean was perfect.
Cross court, Williams.
Asking by number 4, Reggie Williams.
And again, what they've practiced to bring the ball inbounds against that Hoya pressure. Pinckney far out, puts it down, and he traveled. It'll go over to Georgetown on the turnover.
Now, Brett, you can see that Eddie Pinckney is used to playing against Patrick Ewing. They've gone against each other for 4 years. Eddie Pinckney's freshman year, one of the great games of all time against Ewing. He's not afraid to take it to Patrick.
Both teams sizzling in the early moments. Georgetown 3 of 4, Villanova perfect.
That defense is backed inside the foul line now, so they're going to give the outside shot to Georgetown.
Ewing will take one outside. Missing, but Martin rebound. Presley, a good ball handler. You would expect to see him in the backcourt a lot for Villanova against pressure.
Well, every member of the Villanova team, pretty good ball handler.
Pinckney ships it back. And the foul is called as he rose in the air to make the pass. Pinckney committed the foul.
Very difficult for Eddie Pinckney to put the ball on the floor that far away from the basket. Normally, those 2 dribbles would get him to the basket. He was 22 feet away, and when you put it on the floor, then the guards can come in and trap. Ewing available for the lob.
But he has to come out against that defense and now sends it to Wingate. They haven't gotten Ewing any easy baskets yet. Jackson from the perimeter.
People that try to compare this Georgetown team with last year's, the big difference is offensively, they're just so superior. A great shooting team. Nice clear out for Gary McLean.
Against the pressure, he gets it up, but he traveled. He made that spinning move against the trap, and Jackson says something right in Gary McLean's face.
And that, again, was a different look by Georgetown. They double-teamed with their guards that time and made it tough for McLean.
Timeout. Georgetown with a 4-point lead. 14:54 left in the first half. 50-year-old Roland Vincent Massimino. In his 12th year at Villanova, played college basketball at Vermont, where he was a reserve guard. Later went on to become a high school coach, then moved to Stony Brook College on Long Island, was an assistant at Penn, was hired by Villanova, and has been a success there ever since. An ideal man for that program. Villanova is perfect shooting from the floor, but they have committed 4 turnovers against that Georgetown pressure already. Inside to Wingate. Oh, Ewing got up in the air, was off balance. He's all right. Harold Jensen has checked into the game for Villanova, number 32.
Credit Eddie Pinckney again. He did not get the rebound, but terrific block out on Patrick Ewing so that Patrick couldn't get position.
This is Harold Jensen.
Jensen, the big star in the North Carolina win. Dwight Wilbur has just not been able to get in the game in the NCAA playoffs.
So difficult to get your shot against Georgetown. McLean comes up, and he's been banging away. He's carrying him offensively with those 3 field goals already.
You notice how well Villanova gets back on defense. It's very difficult to get fast breaks against them. Their transition from offense to defense is great.
Williams, double team. Presley goes for the loose ball off Williams, out of bounds, and it goes over. Great play by Harold Presley.
I thought Jensen pulled Williams' arm on that play and got away with a foul. Williams doesn't look strong, but he's awful wiry.
Villanova can tie at this trip.
Wayne McLean looks like he wants to take one again.
They will want to get Jensen into the game if they can. Dumps it off to Pinckney. Maneuvering on Ewing. Missed. Snapped down by Martin. Jackson comes inside. Great pass. He hit David Wingate, who'd come down the baseline.
Well, you can't appreciate what a great catch that was by Wingate. Has a body flying right over his head and still pulls it in.
stationing Pinckney out away from the basket. Here's Jensen's first shot, and he's on the money. He's a key man for Nova tonight.
That's what you like, to have a fella come off the bench and play so positively. Jensen has really been on a 3-game tear.
And Villanova is playing positively against Georgetown, something we have not seen throughout this tournament. Georgia Tech pushed them, but in the early going against St. John's, the Hoyas went on a tear in the first and the second halves. Williams with a pump fake, and quickly Pinckney comes over to help out. They get it back to Ewing.
Fine defense by Villanova again, not to let Reggie Williams have that baseline, even though he had the good pump fake and was open. Pushed by Pinckney.
Jump hook by Ewing's on the mark.
Oh, a dangerous crossover by McClain. He had the ball up awful high. Notice how the senior McClain pulls things back out and again sets up the tempo that Villanova wants. He never rushes the action.
Pinckney outside. Now remember that he's a natural forward. They've moved him to the center because he simply is the biggest man and the toughest inside. But when he came to this school as a freshman, burly John Pannone was the center, and Pinckney operated out on the wing. So he can bring Ewing outside as he has been doing here tonight. Williams, great player, doesn't get enough credit.
We're looking at a guy that didn't make first or second team all
almost stolen by Wingate. Villanova gets it back.
McClain wants it right back. Feisty player.
Jackson and McClain will be a marvelous duel, and of course John Thompson can also send Horace Broadbacks out after him. Blaine McClain puts it down, lost it out of bounds. It goes over. That's the 5th turnover by Villanova.
And Brent, you can make physical mistakes for Raleigh Massimino, but not mental ones. And McClain made a mental one that time. No sense going inside knowing Ewing's there. Raleigh Massimino really upset with that last play.
Ewing sends it back to the corner to Williams, and he's 2 for 2 the last 2 trips.
Now the double team's starting to give Villanova a lot of problems. Notice how they keep the double team on because they know they have Patrick Ewing in the back to protect.
Will this pressure wear down Villanova? They are not as deep as Georgetown. Pinckney rushes for the loose ball, puts it down, comes inside, gets it to Presley, and Ewing came back, but Presley hit it.
You notice Patrick Ewing came about 25 feet on that pass, almost got there in time, but good play by Eddie Pinckney. The score a little higher than Raleigh Massimino would like. But if you look up there, we're under 10 minutes now, 18-14.
Reggie Williams is just dead-eye from that corner. He has hit his 4 shots in this game so far. Remember, he came off the bench in last year's championship against Houston and won the MVP by scoring 19 points. And there, Martin, another of the seniors, knocks the ball out of bounds. And here comes a freshman, Harry McDonald. We've got a timeout. But already, John Thompson is starting to go to his bench, and we'll see that Hoya depth when you come back. The afternoon against St. John's. Michael Jackson handed out 11 assists. Already here tonight he has 4. This was the prettiest. Wingate cut in behind, worked down the baseline, and hit the field goal.
Well, what was so great about that is Wingate caught the ball in traffic, and then even going full speed was able to stop on a dime and not be walking. I mean, you've got to be a good assist man. You have to have fellas that can catch the ball in traffic, and that's what Georgetown does so well. Jackson, you know, you're talking about 15 assists in a game and a quarter. And here's the trap again.
As Billy pointed out, the points are starting to mount up, and Massimino prefers a lower scoring game than what he's in right now.
Matter of fact, I think Villanova would be smart to pull it out a while.
Dwayne McClain drew the foul from Martin.
Brent, when you look at the score, and we said this at the top of the show, you multiply Georgetown's total now times 4, and you're talking about an 80-point type game. In an 80-point type game, Villanova cannot win. They have to slow this pace down a little bit. And the way it looks, they're going to have to do it on offense.
You know, this game is being seen around the world via satellite by our servicemen and women through the Armed Forces television service tonight. Also being heard on radio, and I understand I mentioned earlier, Big John Panone is playing basketball over in Spain. He's watching tonight. His brother Steve, of course, he sits on the bench over there for Raleigh Massimino, and he certainly wanted to send along his best to his brother and hope he's enjoying it in the early hour in the morning over there.
McLean continues to hit. Villanova picks up full court. Georgetown blows right by him.
With that great quickness, and here's McDonald. Pinckney rebounds.
And here's where Villanova cannot afford to get in a run-shoot game. Pull it back out, try to slow this game down a little.
Jackson with Jensen there. Better than normal against this tough defense. Stolen by Wingate, but he can't run it down after he tapped the ball. Gary McLean sealed him off. And Wingate is so quick defensively. He always gets his hand in on the basketball.
Good point, Brennan. John Wooden always said it's hard to teach quickness. That's what he tried to recruit, was quickness. If he had to take one particular asset of a player, and you saw Wingate go almost 18 feet there to knock that ball out of the way.
Brodnax is number 32, who just checked in. Jackson sits down.
And obviously, Georgetown, a big advantage on that bench. Villanova will have to go primarily with these 5 players plus 1 sub. The zone changes again.
Jensen gets it to McLean.
Pull it back out.
Bounce to Pinckney, who will come up on Ewing. Ewing's falling to the ground, tried to draw the offensive foul. And I'll tell you, they have been more successful inside against Ewing than any team I've seen in the tournament to date, and that includes Georgia Tech.
I think the reason for that, Eddie Pinckney may be the quickest big man in the country in terms of getting the ball in the lane and turning on a guy like Patrick. Normally, Patrick Ewing is the man that has the quickness advantage.
Traveling on the turnover, he double dribbled.
John Thompson coming back with a substitute. McDonald, an outstanding player, very gifted, but doesn't have the experience in a game like this one.
It is so important against Georgetown not to let them get that early big lead. Villanova can tie the game at 20 this trip.
Wayne's got to watch the trap. We're talking about a team with 3 seniors that have been in the wars a lot.
McLean with a spinning move is tied it at 20.
He turned around coming back up court and spit on the floor like, take that, fellas.
Look at this shooting percentage against Georgetown. They have come to the summit, and both of them are playing like champions. Brodnax.
Brett, maybe Jimmy Boeheim knew something. Hey, he faced these teams so many times. The coach of Syracuse said St. John's cannot beat Georgetown, but Villanova can. And that was before the Memphis State game. I still think the pace for Villanova is going to tell in the second half of this game.
Great pass to Pinckney from McLean. Simply missed the shot, but it was that snap pass.
Eddie Pinckney's laughing. He loved the pass and knew he should have had it.
Georgetown on defense has been scoreless for the last 2:35. Villanova's running off 6 in a row. Presley couldn't get up on it. He's a strong rebounder. And now the Hoyas will try to end their drop. And Pinckney reached in from behind. Shouldn't have done that on Brodnax. Should never have given the official the opportunity to call that foul out.
You're right, Brent. He was chasing a quicker man and a smaller man down the court. It would be better to run and take his position defensively. Eddie goes for the steal, and that's the second one. And that's a cheap one. That could come back to haunt him.
Ewing so far against Massimino's defense is 1 of 3 from the field. They have not been able to get him that easy slam.
Villanova stays in that matchup 2-3 zone defense, which they play so well.
These 2 men watching Ewing on that side. Williams trying to come up. He is short. Goes for the rebound. Takes it away from Pinckney, and then Jensen fouled Williams. And Massimino said, I was so close.
And there again, Reggie Williams offensive rebounders in college basketball. Again, look at that physique. He doesn't look like he'd be tough inside, but he's so wiry and so quick. He gets a lot of rebounds. Good pass out by Patrick Ewing rather than try to force it. Gets it right back.
Now he turns around inside. Presley coming up, and Wingate was over his back on the rebound.
There's the play on the inside. Patrick had just fed the ball back outside. Then he turns with that patented jump shot of his. Doesn't make it. Presley with a good rebound. Wingate doesn't get there in time.
Mark Plansky has checked in for Villanova, and Ed Pinckney will take a break here at the 6:36 mark. Harold Presley putting it on the floor. They go to trap him in the corner. He tries to come free, and it goes over. He could not.
Now,
and again, that trap defense.
Right, Brent. Now, Presley's job is merely to get the ball over half court, not to get down in the corners. Had he stopped as he got over the 10-second line, he'd have had an opportunity to give that ball out. You can't take it to the corners against a club like Georgetown.
Again outside. Has it knocked away, and Jensen's got it. Presley's ahead. Hoyas come back quickly. Here's Presley. Ewing back for the rebound.
Again, there's Patrick Ewing, all 7 foot of him, running the full 90-foot distance and getting there for the rebound. And he's getting a little heat from John Thompson. He wants him down low to get in there to rebound.
Williams gets behind. Presley misses, but he's got that offensive rebound, and Plansky fouled him.
Is he quick off his feet, or is he quick off his feet? You'll see Reggie Williams go up here. There he goes up once. He comes down. He goes up. He comes right back again. 3 times right off his feet before the other players can get off twice.
Mark Plansky, his first, team spin.
Jensen and Plansky, of course, have both come off the Villanova bench. Ewing will sit down, and Thompson lectured him as he came off the floor about just what you said, staying out too far away from the basket, trying to dribble the ball, and gave up the ball on the turnover.
A point about John Thompson's theory on big men. He said he doesn't want a pivot man that can shoot jump shots. He wants a pivot man that can play around the hole, and that's exactly what he was telling Patrick. He's received that lecture since his freshman year.
Now the veteran Ralph Dalton moves in, and the Hoyas do not lose all that much with Dalton on the floor. Williams comes in and picks up his miss and puts in a field goal. There he is again, slicing like a hot knife through butter to get the rebound. Comes back with the steal.
That's a sensational turnaround. Villanova in a position to take a 2-point lead, finds himself 2 down. A 4-point turnaround on Williams' efforts.
Puts it on the floor, gets inside the defense. It goes over. Williams and Wingate got a little too close, and Rawley's saying he traveled when he put it down. That's what he was protesting that time to the official.
Part of that is working the official. Now Villanova trying to force tempo too much. There's no hurry there.
Ewing is going to return.
Patrick wants to get in the game so bad, he just knocked over half the scorer's table.
Took that possession arrow and banged it off the floor. They've recovered it, and Martin will sit down for the Hoyas. How about the points off of those turnovers?
Yeah, that's part of Georgetown's story. They beat you in so many ways, and that's certainly one of them.
Here's Dalton. He'll stay on the floor, has it rejected, and it'll go over to Villanova.
That was some block by Presley. Now, Presley on Saturday had a 1-for-8 game, and we both thought he played a sensational basketball, and that's why.
On the Williams free throw, Coach Massimino moved Gary McLean in just to Williams' right, but he can't get over to seal him off. Williams comes through, and he's got the field goal.
That was just poor execution, Brent. You've got to move as soon as that ball is released out there. You got to move over there and get in the way of the shooter. You got to block him out.
Billy, you pointed out the score. We've got another 5 minutes, and Georgetown has only scored 2 points since that 9:52 mark.
That's right. Now we're getting back into a situation where you look at the score and you say, hey, it swung back to the tempo that Villanova wants. the 10-minute mark, Georgetown had 20 points. That's an 80-point game. Now it looks like we're getting back down to a 60-point game.
Dalton and Ewing together on the floor.
Now you notice Presley that time did not go down in the corner. That was the wise thing to do. Straight man-to-man by Georgetown.
Ewing coming over on Pinckney, and Jackson has possession. Marvelous defense. Jackson trying to come through, though. Ewing goes crashing to the floor for the loose ball.
Patrick Ewing, that's why he's such a super player. He runs 80 feet, dives for the loose ball. No prima donna there. I thought he committed a foul, but got away with it. But still, what an effort.
Takes the inbounds pass. Shakes off Jensen.
Jensen gets away from those elbows.
Wingate to be short. Pinckney rebounding.
Wise move by Eddie Pinckney. There was a semi-fast break there, but Villanova doesn't want a fast break. Eddie just wants to walk down the court. Very smart. That's the key to this club. We're talking about a senior team here.
Ewing trying to keep Pinckney from coming through the baseline, and he was effective defensively inside.
They'd like to get the ball to Eddie Pinckney, but it's
They did him behind Ewing, and he was fouled. Williams coming back. That's his second personal.
Now, there's a lot to that defense. Great weak side defense here by Williams, recognizing that Patrick Ewing's out of place. The other thing that's the key here, Brent, is that the Georgetown teammates don't want anybody to dunk on Patrick Ewing. And you watch Williams come across here. He makes sure there was no dunk on that play.
You know, there is a sad note surrounding the Villanova team. Al Severance passing away back in Philadelphia this morning. Raleigh Massimino telling me that he was Villanova basketball. He coached his team for 25 years, and at the first Final Four in 1939, Coach Severance took Villanova into the semis and lost to Ohio State. That was played at Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois.
Brett, during his days, they were the cradle of coaches there. You had Ramsey and McCluskey, Duty Moore, Harry Litwack, and 10 great coaches during that period of time in Philadelphia.
Ewing got his position. They won't stop that. That's where Thompson wants him, down low.
And John smiled on that one. And here comes a full court zone trap. Great pass. And a turnover by Presley that's not called. Sensational pass by Eddie Pinckney.
Maybe he does play better, sir. Presley comes inside, gets the high. Oh, got the roll.
Everything's falling. Not a good shot.
They're not scared, are they?
They certainly are. Now with Georgetown having the two bangers.
Oh, and Ewing comes with the lob, and he says, let's go.
Well, just go back a couple of minutes when John Thompson took Ewing out, gave him a pretty good tongue lashing, telling him get down around the basket.
Gary McLean. But it goes back to up-tempo.
That's right. This is...
Now it's Ewing at the other end.
Patrick Ewing was the man that went out to block that jump shot, and then he ended up down under the basket. He is putting on some show. Here's the zone trap again.
And Pinckney was fouled by Dalton. Martin returns for the Hoyas. Dalton will sit down.
Brennan, the days when you had the superior teams, here we see Patrick Ewing timing this pass beautifully, going about 1.5 feet over the basket and slamming it down through. Watch this pass by Jackson. That's going to be assist number 5 or 6 already. Sensational catch and shot. That was the 6th assist by Jackson. 17 in less than a game and a half.
Jensen comes baseline inside of Williams and creates a shot.
Hey, Villanova's a good team, but they are a great team so far tonight.
Chuck Everson is playing now. He's a 7-foot, 1-inch junior out of Brentwood, New Jersey. And again, Pinckney will get a rest here by Coach Massimino. Last 2 minutes of the first half. Jackson dishes to Martin, turns, and Everson had a hand on it. Gary McLean, and now Villanova can go ahead.
And they ought to hold on to the ball for a while right here. And they are. They're going to 4 corners. They're going to try to spread Georgetown out. and hold the ball for the rest of the half. A great move by Raleigh Massimino, because he has Eddie Pinckney on the bench, and he does not want to do this. Now, Georgetown will counter with a 1-3-1 trap. They will not let him hold it.
John positioning his players defensively, keeping them back in that zone alignment that you see. And what you are watching again is a relic. Almost everyone agrees that they'll go to the 45-second shot clock next year in this tournament.
I think John Thompson's had a great year coaching his club, but right now I don't know why he would allow Villanova to hold the ball. This really plays into Raleigh Massimino's hands. He's got to go out and chase him. Now, he's asking for a warning by the referee, but as long as Villanova throws the ball past that white hash mark, they are not in violation.
You can see Dwayne McClain standing just inside the hash mark on your screen, and Jensen is just inside it. You can see them playing catch right there, so no warning will be given.
And I think Georgetown should come out for another reason. They're not in the 1-and-1 yet. They could come out and aggressively attack Villanova, and even if they foul, Villanova doesn't get any foul shots. Raleigh Massimino has to be so happy now that he's getting by with this strategy. Kind of amazing.
Georgetown leading by 1 point. And the clock running down here in the first half of this NCAA championship game in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm Brent Musburger with Billy Packer, and we certainly hope you're enjoying this one.
Georgetown goes man-to-man, and again, I can't understand why they allow Villanova to hold this ball.
Now they get it inside to Presley. He comes inside on Ewing. It wouldn't stay, but he comes back with the rebound. They went right at the big fella. Wingate comes free for the jump shot, but time has expired. And Villanova, for the third time this year, has taken the lead. And we had a little bit of a scrape underneath the basket at the end of the first half. Massimino is furious.
And we're going to have no call on a foul. But Brent, that has to be a big plus for Raleigh Massimino.
Look at Massimino lead his troops back to the locker room. And Thompson saying, what's going on here?
All right, there's the shot by Wingate. Actually, the half ended right here. Everson goes. Williams goes after him. A good no call by the referee. You'd have to call that a double foul or a no call. And it was a no call. I think a critical mistake by John Thompson at the end of the half. You've got Pinckney on the bench. You've got to go after him.
All right, let's go upstairs to Dick Stockton. Dick.
Well, maybe the coronation is going to have to be delayed a little, because the Villanova Wildcats, who were down by 6 points, came back and lead 29-28. We'll have videotape highlights and a lot more coming up after this commercial message and this word from your local station on CBS. And there is a star of last year's Georgetown National Championship effort, the great defensive player Gene Smith, who's now an alum and one of the many greats who has played for Georgetown. But the Hoyas find themselves in a battle at halftime. And in fact, for the third time this year, Villanova has the lead over Georgetown at the half. 29-28 is our score. And the amazing statistic thus far is the fact that Villanova has shot 72% in the first half, 52% for Georgetown, and they have weathered a Patrick Ewing storm. Well, it's been a terrific week in Lexington, Kentucky, one of the smallest cities ever to host a Final Four, Greensboro being the other smallest, and they really rolled out the red carpet. Not a big dome stadium, but Rupp Arena, certainly a more intimate setting, the home of the University of Kentucky, where Adolph Rupp dominated for so many years as a great coach. Part of the magic of the NCAA tournament is that it brings together teams, fans, and the media from around the U.S., and when the Final Four hits town, people's images and impressions are bound to change. People have always thought of Lexington as a one-horse town in which the sounds of the village blacksmith summed up the entire city. But as visitors arrived this week, they discovered that Lexington's charms are hard to refuse.
I can hear Kentucky calling me.
Holding the NCAA tournament in a basketball-crazed town like Lexington just added fuel to the fire. If it said Final Four on it, people bought it. And when they weren't buying, there were carriage rides to show off the countryside the natives are so proud of.
This is the most hospitable place they was ever at, in every way, shape, or form.
The teams weren't overlooked, receiving their share of bluegrass hospitality. The The public practice let fans and players get acquainted with each other. And while some watched in awe, others sought out autographs. Meanwhile, the coaches in town for their convention also had a chance to relax.
Most coaches' golf swings would make you vomit.
The strangest event all week took place on the Kentucky campus. On the same backboards Coach Rupp's team helped make famous. Students created Final Four art using paint, a ball, and a strong imagination. You wonder just what the Baron would have thought.
He would have changed the name of the Fabulous Five to the Filthy Five if this had occurred back in his days.
Final Four week in Lexington, Kentucky, and we'll be back with more, plus videotape highlights of the first half when we continue in the national championship game in just a moment. Dick Stockton back at Lexington, Kentucky, in the NCAA National Championship game. The Villanova Wildcats, the huge underdogs, lead Georgetown, looking for their second consecutive national championship, 29-28 at the half right now. Georgetown started out with tremendous perimeter shooting, and Reggie Williams, who scored 10 points to lead the Hoyas in the first half, was able to be effective against the overload on the 2-3 zone. Reggie Williams with a tremendous half. Here's he is, wide open from the corner, scoring 2 of his 10 points, and Georgetown moved out to a 6-point lead. The pace was really going too quick for the Villanova Wildcats, who were expecting the score to be in the 50s and could very well be that way. But the pace slowed, and it was Ed Pinckney who came into the 4, very important in the middle, and this was the patience showed by the Villanova Wildcats. Harold Jensen came in off the bench, and in the lane, Ed Pinckney got a basket, one of 6 unanswered points to tie the game for the Villanova Wildcats. Then Patrick Ewing went on a binge and scored 3 stuff shots inside, but Villanova came right back, and at the end of the first half, we had a bit of a controversy when Reggie Williams pushed Chuck Everson right here. Everson is number 41 at the bottom of your screen, and watch Williams give him a shove. Rollie Massimino came on the court looking for a foul. None was forthcoming, and so at the half, a surprise. Without question, people were crowning the Georgetown Hoyas, but we still have 20 minutes of basketball to go, 29-28 the score. And we'll be back with Brent Musburger and Billy Packer in the second half coming up after this commercial message from Lexington.
The second half, Billy, I want to go back in on that controversy. We have another angle now showing how Williams teed off on Everson down here. Watch the referee in the background. He's watching it all the way. Williams comes up with his arms right there, much like an offensive tackle trying to ward off the charge of a defensive end, hit him high. I think a foul should have been called.
Well, very possibly. What I think happened to Williams is that he felt Everson with a block out of the hip, and he turned around and retaliated. But he doesn't have any excuse for doing that. And if you're on top of it as official, I have to agree with you, Brent. I think you've got to go for the call.
All right, we'll come back with the second half after this commercial and a word from your local stations.
On Rutledge, and he said they did not call a personal because they thought that it was not intentional and not flagrant. Rollie Massimino disagreeing with that. Rutledge is one of the referees, along with John Prockerty and Bob Diebler. They are working this national championship game. And what a surprise. Georgetown trailing, but remember, in their 2 previous meetings, Villanova led each time at the half, and the Hoyas came back to win it. Ewing. Georgetown regains the lead that quickly.
That was a great shot by Patrick Ewing because Eddie Pinckney thought he had it timed perfectly. Dangerous pass. You notice this is what makes it so tough on Georgetown to force Villanova. Villanova just gets the ball over half court. They don't worry about attacking against it. Very patient. Some teams try to take it down into Patrick Ewing, and that's when they get in trouble and turn it into a pace game.
Gary McClain with Michael Jackson on him. Presley, double team, ships it out to McClain.
McClain got pushed.
Pinckney to Harold Jensen from the perimeter, rattles in. Jensen is now 3 of 3 off the Villanova bench. That's why he's starting the second half. Martin, Wingate, Pinckney has it, delivered to him on the errant pass, and this will be Dwayne McClain. And Georgetown retreats. They're going to let Villanova bring it up.
Well, they have a hard time setting up that press. There you see that field goal percentage. Georgetown, not only during the NCAA tournament, but throughout the course of the year, held their opponents under 39% free throw shooting. No place for McClain to go, so he pulls it out. possession for Villanova. They started getting what they wanted at the end of the second half.
You pointing out that Thompson may have made a tactical error by letting Villanova pull it out. Oh! Hits the field goal and drew the foul.
Eddie Pinckney this year has had 288 field goals, 256 fouls. Now watch this move. And you're talking about getting that shot off, being guarded by the best man in college basketball defensively. Patrick didn't like the call. Only his first personal foul. But you know, you get the feeling everything Villanova throws up there seems to go in. Great touch.
The first half of this game was as good a half of college basketball as I've ever seen. We'll see what unfolds here in the second half.
Eddie's a 72% free throw shooter, so solid on there. And John Thompson wants a timeout already. Very unusual timeout.
1985 National Championship game between the Villanova Wildcats and the Georgetown Hoyas is sponsored by Bud Light, a light beer with a taste that's satisfying but never filling. And by Renault, introducing 550 Plus protection, the one to watch, Renault.
Frequently in this NCAA tournament, John Thompson and the Hoyas have blown teams out early in the second half. It is always a critical part of the game against this team. Triple team. Hoyas keep it.
There was Patrick Ewing caught in the lane with 3 men around him. There had to be somebody open.
Martin, short. Pinckney skies for the rebound.
That's a lucky break for Villanova. They weren't set in their defense, and Georgetown almost caught them napping. Eddie Pinckney starting to set outside now, drawing Patrick Ewing way out.